You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
This is Randy. In the future, currency will be bottle caps, and all of us comic book collectors will be set because every issue of those comic books we have is a +1 to strength.
This is Melanie. And in the future, one of the criteria we will have to consider when choosing our games is how much brain damage it will cause us.
And this is Jesse. In the future, public schools will offer Despicable Me minion speak as a foreign language.
Welcome to the Grawlix podcast. This is episode, I believe it's 24. 2016. This is the January episode. Happy New Year. If you missed it,
New Year!
Woo! If you missed it, check out our Grawlix Bites that just dropped a couple days ago on New Year's Eve because we couldn't wait till today to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You know what I just realized?
What'd you realize?
Doing maths.
Maths?
This time next year, we'll have more episodes than... The show will be older in episodes than we are in years.
Oh, good.
Or at least us, I don't know.
Good.
Jesse's a little senior, you know.
Well,
Hey now.
oh.
Not that little.
Yeah, no, I'm excited because we figured just now that next month is like our 2-year
Yeah.
Careful, please. Podcast anniversary. It's funny to be like, yeah, we've been doing this show for 2 years. Here's episode 25.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
But that's because most shows go on a weekly schedule. And who says that's the way to do it? Nobody.
Yeah. Nope.
We play by our own rules.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
In fact, we have more than 24 episodes. We have a bunch.
Yeah. We got 8 nights and 3 bites.
And you know what? After 2 years, and I mean, we switched somewhere in the middle there, but my mom still asks me, like, 3 times a week, "Are you guys doing your podcast tonight?"
Yeah.
I'm like, geez,
Oh,
really?
it's the last Sunday of the month. It's the end of the month every month.
Yeah.
Which is a giveaway because right now we're speaking to people of the future from the past.
We like to do that.
We do. Keeps us real timely on certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for joining us, listener. I feel real spunky now.
Spunky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spunkacast.
Ew.
Have you found yourself in the spunkosphere? Because that's the theme for 2016. Spunk.
Nice. We're going to talk about our poll list pick from last month. We're going to talk about what we read, and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some Walking Dead,
Mm-hmm.
and it was brutal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And finally, I get to talk about things that I've been holding in for so long, it's ridiculous.
And then also right now, we're going to talk about a little Doctor Who.
Oh!
You guys didn't even know. I sprung it on you.
Spoilers.
I knew.
Okay, yeah. Do we? Oh, yeah. Okay, first off.
I like how the voice, how your timbre dropped. You're like, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Before we get too far into that, because I've got a good segue back into it, Christmas was not that long ago. Well, for us, for other people, you know, Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and Life Day.
Festivus.
Yep.
Is Ramadan a thing?
I'm sure
That's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
There were major holidays recently,
Mm-hmm.
often for a lot of people, holidays in which you receive and give gifts.
Yes.
Did anybody get any cool geeky gifts? I got 2 that I can think of offhand that are definitely geek related.
I got that TV that we mentioned in the New Year's Eve special.
That's definitely a good geeky gift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you can watch all your awesome geeky things on it.
And a Chromecast, which we haven't even tried to hook up yet. But that's a pretty fun geeky addition.
Chromecast is pretty awesome.
Yeah, we like ours.
That'll make your HD TV much more handy because I don't know if you guys have cable or what you watch on it, but with the Chromecast, it's easy to cast some YouTube or Netflix or whatever from the computer over there. So Crunchyroll, some anime. Yeah, we have a Chromecast as well, and it's pretty handy.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard good things, and so I'm excited to play with it at some point here.
It's a nice streaming device.
Yeah. I only wish, and I'm not endorsing one over the other, I wish they had a...
You want a Roku.
I want a remote. That's what I want. I want a remote so I don't have to worry about the battery on my phone or my whatever device that you use to control it.
Yeah, that's kind of the central idea with the Chromecast is you use your cell phone as a remote, but
more the computer, but then you have to go back to the computer every time.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, I just want to be able to sit on the couch, not have to charge anything, and be able to switch stuff around.
Fortunately, we have an Xbox as well, so
that's true. Yeah. I got a computer.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was not. I knew I was going to get it because my family can't keep secrets for crap. But I jokingly asked for a laptop, which I did not get. Instead, they bought me a desktop, which I had. But whatever, it's fine. I got a new computer. Yay!
They went halfway. They bought you an all-in-one desktop, so it's pretty much a laptop, just not portable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I just need some straps.
Straps and a long extension cord?
Yep.
Yes.
I love that idea. You just duct tape the keyboard to the bottom of the monitor. It works.
Mm-hmm.
The all-in-one computers are weird. I am not a fan because I like to be able to upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
But hooking that thing up was, you did most of it. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
There's very little.
It's very light.
Yeah.
I can carry the box with one hand, but Randy said no. That's not safe.
Yeah. Well, you can teeter a baby over a balcony. It doesn't mean you should do it.
Oh, worked for Michael Jackson. He got attention.
What good did that do?
He got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
For not baby dangling. So.
Or some other kinds of baby dangling, maybe.
Okay.
Baby dangling.
Moving along.
Wows.
Ooh.
So two of not my favorite gifts, but my favorite geeky gifts I got this year. I got this cool, I don't even know how to explain it. It's a wall hanging. It's not a poster because it's solid.
It's like wood or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what you would call that, but it's some type of a print on a solid wall hanging thick board. But it is a print of Legends of the Dark Knight issue number 50. So it's a super cool, cover art with Joker where he's got the smiling cat and stuff. It's pretty awesome.
With a Joker-faced cat. That's not just a smiling cat.
Yeah, it's a Joker-faced cat. So, yeah, super cool Batman and Joker wall art. I dig that.
Yeah, I like it.
And then, to pull us back, Melanie got me this. In fact, this might come into the podcast sometime because maybe we can figure out how to play this.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who: Trivial Pursuit.
Oh yeah, I got that a little ways ago.
Well, I was looking at some of these, and I've seen all the episodes.
Uh-huh.
My memory is for crap, and I was looking at some of the cards on the back, and I'm like, I bet Jesse would still stomp the crap out of us.
I was going to say, just looking through some of the cards, I do pretty well.
I bet you too.
Better on classic stuff than I do on the new stuff.
Yeah.
And he's got the game. It's so easy to memorize the cards. It's ridiculous. We can play with him.
I haven't done that, but I just whenever I needed to feel better about my memory, I just pull those out and go, oh, do I know that one? Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I'm amazed. I can't remember things I need to remember, but I play a game 2 or 3 times and I know everything by heart. It's ridiculous, the stupid things I remember. Okay, sorry.
I hadn't even watched any Ben and Polly, and I knew a couple of questions about Ben and Polly. So
really,
I've rectified that sense. But
see, and that's the thing. You have, I suspected you have a lot more, almost book knowledge of Doctor Who, learned education about it.
Right.
And a lot of mine came from like I watched the episodes, but I tell you what, that's a lot of episodes, and they all kind of blur.
Yeah.
After a while, it all kind of blurs.
And there were several points in time when we were like, we got so much more Doctor to get to. We just got to like get through 3 or 4 episodes today. We just have to.
Yeah, we got to binge this.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just not good with
watch approach.
Yeah. And character names and stuff like that. And when this happened, unless it's certain like standout episodes or episodes and events that people talk about.
Yeah.
So it's fresh in my mind. A lot of it though, I'm not good at retaining, certain information.
Yeah.
And
or Randy exclamations help me a lot.
What?
Randy exclamations. I'll never forget Tegan.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's because of you, baby.
Yeah. Oh man, Tegan.
Way to, what did you say? Way to.
You said it.
I think you said the F word. Way to Grawlix it up, Tegan. Again.
Braveheart Tegan
was the worst. So, okay, maybe not the worst. She was pretty bad though. She's very, she's just an unpleasant companion. She didn't want to be there. I don't know why she came back. Just go home.
Oh, and Dory. I don't even know who Dory is. I don't think I really watched it when Dory was on there.
Dory.
But because
Dodo?
Dodo.
Is that what it is?
I bet it's Dodo. She was in there very short, very briefly.
Okay, well then I guess I did forget.
Yeah, I like Dodo. I don't know why, because her name was Dodo, and she looked interesting.
Okay.
And she seemed like she could be cool, but she was not on long enough to really get a good gauge on her.
Okay. Well, obviously I was wrong because I called her Dory instead of Dodo.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
No, you weren't. I don't think you were watching at that point.
I wasn't, but you the way you laugh and be like, ah, and say something about it. And so I recall these things,
Oh man. Some of those first Doctor episodes, he would do something that would just crack me up and I would have to rewind it over and over again.
I know.
Just the way he'd walk into a room and like the Daleks were on the screen and he just, Daleks! Just the way he would do it.
I know. You would make me come and be like, you wouldn't even have to play anything. You'd be like, look at his face. And I'd laugh and then I'd leave the room and then be done. But you'd have to make me come and look.
Actually,
very
like,
placated now.
We did like a mini Star Wars marathon to get ready for Force Awakens, and I think I made for sure that we were going to watch all of Empire because Empire is like the best, and it's got Yoda, so win-win. And I kept thinking that you could easily Muppet up Hartnell. Because there's times when, especially Empire Strikes Back Yoda, sounds like Hartnell. Like you could turn Hartnell into a puppet and give him some of the mannerisms of Yoda, and it would be the same. Like,
oh yeah, he had that old guy.
He did that little laugh thing.
Yeah, totally. Dead on.
So Doctor Who.
Yeah, Doctor Who.
Yeah, I figured we don't have to get super deep into it. I know.
Yeah, but last episode we said we had to discuss the next episode because Jesse hadn't seen it yet, and it was a good one.
Yeah, and now.
Because the finale.
Yeah, the finale happened, and we haven't got a chance to talk about that on here yet. And the Christmas special just ran.
Yeah.
And we've all watched that.
And they released the Diary of River Song, like right before they released the Christmas episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have been on a mini river-thon.
Maybe a little too much river.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Were you drowning in the river?
Yeah, a few too many rivers to cross. Which may or may not be a line in some episode. I don't even know which.
Okay, so let's start with basically, just in general, keeping it vague. What did you guys think of Series 9 as a whole?
I liked it overall. There were some bits that I had problems with.
Yeah, overall, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad Claire's gone. So that made me happy. And I'm hoping for better things from the next the next season or series, whatever.
Well, we know Capaldi's coming back for another season.
Yay.
But he keeps throwing I just read an article not long ago, and he keeps throwing out the idea that most likely it'd just be this will be his last season.
You know why? I'll tell you why. Because of people like someone who shall remain nameless that made the show popular. I'll give them that. But they want the Doctor to be young and attractive and whatever. And I'm like, it's not about that. Jeez.
Who did that? Are you talking about Moffat?
No, I'm talking about.
That's Moffat.
Oh, you're talking about the fangirls.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The fangirls.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's the deal or not.
I don't know if it is, but the couple of few that I've talked to, I was really shocked. They were like, I don't like him, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you don't like Capaldi? What's wrong with you? And they're like, he's old. And I'm like,
yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
looking at it as like quality,
yeah.
the actor or the character arcs that,
See, it's confusing to me because I feel like I'm getting different information from different sources. Like, I will hear that Doctor Who is as strong as it's ever been, and then I'll read another article and they'll say that it's kind of hit a slump. I'm like, really? It's hit a slump? Because everybody I know is talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But people who actually like Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's true.
Not people who just,
Well, it's very popular, so there are a lot of people that are they're interlopers. But no, there's people that are like, this is this big popular thing, I should check it out and write about it, and people come read about it, but they're not like hardcore fans. Which is fine. There's going to be that for everything.
Right.
But I think I don't know. I was about to say those are the people that are going to be more fickle, but that's not necessarily even the case.
Yeah.
Because hardcore fans can be pretty particular about things as well.
Oh yeah.
It's really, I found the same thing though. I hear extremes in both directions. I hear a lot of, Capaldi's great. Best actor to play the Doctor, this and that, and this.
Yeah, and then that's cringeworthy too. Like, I don't know if you can say that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's extremes in both directions. Like, they go way far one way, and then there's also like, this is the worst it's ever been, and he's awful, and
we're like, you clearly have not been watching it for very long.
Yeah.
Because there's some bad moments.
Oh yeah, there are.
Oh, there's some bad moments through the whole
I think every
run.
Doctor has a terrible moment, Every Doctor has a bad episode.
Yeah, and some have several.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this season a lot. It wasn't always great, but I like how it definitely felt different from last season, even though we have Capaldi and we have Clara. They both seem like Clara's weird. She still felt thin. But she feels thin. She's felt thin from the beginning. They were doing something different with her, and it kind of felt like a natural, progression of her character from before. She's become she's very confident.
Capaldi was doing something different, so it felt okay for them both to be doing something different.
But yeah, Capaldi was different. He definitely felt like in a different place, in a better place than the last season. From a emotional point of view, where he's the Doctor himself is more comfortable being the Doctor, and
being more compassionate and less. Yeah.
I like how different it felt. This season felt different from the last season, and the 2-parters I thought was interesting. I think that kind of helped set it aside, make it stand out from last season. And I like that every 2-parter was one cohesive story, but each episode had a very different feel from the other. And usually, if you notice, they changed settings between the two, even though it was a continuing story.
Right.
So,
except for the one-parter, which was about iBookers,
and which was a weird episode. And from what I understand, that is hearsay, secondhand. But supposedly that was the Mark Gatiss,
yeah,
episode, and supposedly that's something he's kind of been sitting on for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why it felt just weird, a little out of place with the other episodes.
I was reading some things, and I'm like, after that episode, I'm kind of like, if Mark Gatiss is the next in line, then I'm kind of okay with Moffat hanging around a while.
Yeah, because eye boogers aren't really the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
No. Might be a good thing to sit on. Sit on your eye boogers, okay?
There's a reason it was there's a reason that one stayed under the mattress for so long. That script got kicked under the bed for a while. Yeah, it did, and it felt like a one-off, but it was also kind of a weird episode.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I mean, you expect weirdness from Doctor Who anyway. I liked the dark of this season, and I have come to expect some silliness here and there, but it's much less silly, I think, than it had been last season. And I like that.
Because he rolled in on a tank with an electric guitar.
I felt like, there was some silliness. Well, it's hard to say. There was some silliness last season. I mean, think about Robots of Sherwood.
Yeah.
I guess the silliness came from the Doctor as opposed from the episode as often.
Yeah.
Sonic sunglasses.
Which I hate, but yeah, the Doctor can be weird and crazy and silly all he wants. So can people sometimes, I guess. But the writing shouldn't necessarily always be.
Yeah, it shouldn't necessarily be a goofy concept.
Yeah.
It can still be light without being a goofy concept. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And that's my beef with everything. None of the Doctors are really that bad. The writing sucks.
At times, that
would be my biggest beefs with this series, was just a handful of little things that like were complete game changer / game breakers, really. And the two in particular being the regeneration thing that they throw into the very first opening 2-parter, where he just regenerates every Dalek, and it's like, well, how many regenerations did you just burn through? And I know we're not keeping track anymore because nobody knows how many he has left now, but wow. And it works for Daleks, apparently. And then the whole thing where they can just yank people out of the Matrix.
Oh yeah.
And they're sort of immortal. Like, why has he never done this before? Amy and Rory, like anybody.
Because he's not supposed to. See,
right.
Well,
right.
Well, okay. Now we're jumping. We just jumped.
Yeah,
to the
sorry,
end.
I did that.
That's okay. No, but that's valid because I think part of the thing was, he's not supposed to. That, if that goes unchecked, will tear the fabric of reality apart, blah, blah, blah. But then we're supposed to feel like a happy ending that Zombie Clara and Stark.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Me.
Yeah.
Me. Take the long way around back to, basically they're just like, okay, well, we'll go fly around and have adventures for a while before we go and put Clara back to die. And did we do a spoiler warning? We did.
They know. They should know.
They should know.
When we talk Doctor Who, we spoil.
We talk anything, pretty much, we spoil.
This is last year, anyway. This is last year's TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, it bugged me a little bit that, like, they left it open where it's like, okay, well, they're gonna, they use that line, which was nice, whatever, writing, but you're gonna take the long way around. But it's like, no, you can't. You have to go back because you being alive is gonna destroy the universe.
Yeah.
Like, on one hand, I like it because that means that they can do Big Finish spin-offs and stuff, but yeah.
I think we've talked about it before, and it's part of that whole thing where not every companion has to be some super special thing. And they've already done that with her, tried to make her something special before. Stop it.
From the beginning.
Just stop it.
Yeah.
So, okay, jumping back one episode, because we didn't get to talk about it last time, where he's in the confession dial.
I thought we talked about that one, didn't we?
No, you hadn't watched it yet. We had watched it.
I have a little bit of a problem with that one too, even though I love that episode. That episode is brilliant. But I don't like the whole span of time thing.
Well, it becomes problematic, and I think they even kind of address how that it's problematic in the next episode. But because, well, then you're like, okay, so are we getting the same Doctor out of the time dial? It's just he thinks he's gone through like 4 billion years. That's
my take on it. We had a discussion about this ourselves, and that I think you and I differed.
Or are we getting the umpteenth trillion copy.
Oh wait, no.
Doctor.
That's what I meant.
But then again, is it really a copy of a doctor if it's just I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be like this many copies that removed of the doctor. It'd be that was the original doctor, and then boom, he just shot out another one copied from the original.
Now I'm confused.
You know, that's the problem.
No, okay.
It's a confusing idea.
Yeah.
It's the doctor from when the moment he was taken.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like basically like resending a fax or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's basically, yeah.
That's my take on it. So it's always that same doctor every time, even though he realizes that it's happened so many times. He hasn't lived through that.
He would have only ever done it. The doctor that comes out, if it is a copy.
I don't understand why they act like it's such a big deal.
Yeah, if it is a copy, the doctor that comes out only did that once.
Yes, exactly.
It's all the other copies of the doctor.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it's still, if that's the way it is, it's still horrible because if you think of the Prestige, where he's making clones of himself.
That's what I was going to say. It'd be like in the Prestige where you got like a room full of dead yous and you're like, oh god, I got a room full of dead me's, but you know, now I'm the best magician in the world. And you know, the doctor's the best time traveler in the world, I guess, because he can go through billions of years in one day.
It's like it's that RTD thing where it's like, okay, well, we fought a Dalek and it was scary, and then we fought 3 Daleks and that was scary, and then we fought the whole of the Dalek Empire and that's scary. And so it's like that same thing where we had Matt Smith and he was on Trenzalore for 700 years, and how are we gonna top that?
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. It was a constant battle for that. I think making it 4 billion years pushes it too far into the absurd, into the like unfathomable, that it kind of loses its impact.
Yeah.
Because when he's like 70,000 years, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And then when he's like 2 billion years, you're like, what?
That I don't really have a problem necessarily with that. I mean, especially considering we're supposed to be at the beginning of the universe. It's going to be like words I don't even know of how far it'll go, probably. Okay, I don't think it was a day. Maybe it was like a week or something that he was there. But if every week for billions of years, the skulls would be like piling out of the frickin' stratosphere. Are you serious? That it wouldn't happen the way that they do it. And regardless of all that, he still would have only done it once. And so he shouldn't be all crazy traumatized, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but the kind
of... when it resets, why are there more skulls?
Yeah, that's another issue, is when it resets, everything resets. Mm-hmm. Those skulls should be gone.
No, he resets, not everything.
No, the environment resets. With the resetting, that doesn't necessarily make sense, unless it's because the environment resets, but he's an external factor. Him and his clothes are from the outside, so...
And it wouldn't have been entirely the same anyway, because... Oops, I'm sorry. The first Doctor wouldn't have a skull to knock down, and... wouldn't have...
William Hartnell.
Wouldn't have a scratch in the wall to tell him to go wherever.
Yeah.
Room 12.
So, I think what we're kind of talking about is a big part of the problem with that episode. Is it's an awesome concept that, like a lot of Moffat's awesome Doctor Who concepts, breaks apart the more you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It wound up becoming a really awesome vehicle for Capaldi to continue being awesome.
Because
he nailed that,
mm-hmm.
Regardless of how ill-conceived or well-conceived it was. But, because it's basically him talking to himself that whole episode.
This was the season of Capaldi, is it monologue?
Monologuing,
if he gets the big speeches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which was great, though. I mean, you got to use him that way. If you've got him, give him something to do, because he's awesome at that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's big and theatrical when he needs to be, and he's more serious when he needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
So the second episode, of that, the second part of this season finale, technically. What'd you guys think of all that? He gets out. He's PO'd.
Starts like a Western.
It really does. And I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I did.
It's just like, Rassilon, get out of my house.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know how. Like, I simultaneously loved that and thought, what?
Well, it's just him being super awesome.
Yeah.
He's being quiet. He's not saying, like, hardly says, like, a single thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, they keep showing up with more people, and, he just goes and lays back down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and also we're back, back in that cabin barn thing.
Yeah, from his childhood.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I enjoyed when they show up with the big airplane thing with the guns on front, and he just stands there and faces it. They made the guns and the plane like so big compared to Capaldi that it was humorous to me.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy getting to see him as a hero to the people, because you never really know. He's always running away from it, and when he's there, even usually you only see him like with the big council people. So it's nice to have other people around give their opinion of him, especially after all the craziness with the Time War and the War Doctor and stuff.
And those council people are a fickle bunch all through the history, because he'll show up, they hate him, he saves them or something, foils some plot, and they're like, "Oh, you're our president now," and he leaves. He shows up, they hate him,
Or he shows up, they love him, then they hate him.
Yeah, exactly. So, the council's I guess politicians, that makes sense, but they're a very fickle bunch. So yeah, it was cool to see him interact with like the regular people outside of the fancy Gallifrey city.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the High Council actually did get on the next shuttle, because essentially Gallifrey is without a government now.
Yeah. Yeah, because he didn't stick around.
He doesn't stick around. He never does.
And okay, so the Christmas special really like reinforced this, but Moffat's big trick is that he just like, it's manipulative, but we see the Doctor and whatever companion, Clara or Riversong or even Amy and Rory. It's constant goodbyes. Oh, that's tragic. This is the last time we're going to see you, or it's no more after this, or you're going to die, or this and that, constantly. And I really liked some of the stuff they did with him and Clara in this episode, but along with the episode where they actually killed her, kind of, the last time.
Yeah.
I just was like, are we seriously getting another goodbye?
Yeah.
Like another one?
No, we're getting like 3.
Yeah. Like, but I mean, I liked the scene. I thought it worked well. I think, what's her name? It escapes me now.
Maisie Williams?
No, Clara, the actress that plays Clara.
Jenna Coleman?
I think she did well, like when she finds out how long he was, in the dial or whatever, or how long he experienced in the dial, how upset she was by that. I don't know. It was good. I thought that stuff was good, but it was like, how many times do you have to say goodbye to her?
Yeah.
Because even Capaldi himself, this is like the 3rd time, so at least the 3rd time.
I liked the episode. I did. It was good. Both of them were good. The only thing I have problems with is his overreaction, which cost, in my opinion, I have to assume it's overreaction to his situation he was just in, making him be stupid about the whole, I have to go get Clara thing. And then lose his memory and all that stuff. Sure. But him being on Gallifrey was awesome. Finding out more about his childhood and possibly linking him to the movie was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The half-human thing?
Yeah.
They at least like some type of not acknowledge.
It was at least a nod, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really appreciated that, because we were like discussing who the hybrid could be, and I'm like, well, if they go by the movie, it could be him. And then they actually did it, and I was surprised, and
Well, yeah, they acknowledged that it was a possibility, or that, you know, they know that you're thinking it's a possibility.
Yeah. That they know that the movie is supposed to be part of the canon or something?
And kind of when it came down to it, the hybrid thing was a MacGuffin that didn't matter. And I think I think what me was saying was kind of a cop-out. The hybrid is the Doctor and Clara.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is not.
Well, it doesn't make sense.
If it was gonna be a hybrid of a companion, it'd be like the Dr. Donna or some crap like that.
That's the true hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah. She's gonna destroy the universe. It wouldn't surprise me. She's a redhead. Come on. Oh, sorry.
Whoa.
That was the best reaction. I wonder if this conversation would have went the same if we had video enabled or we were sitting there. There's a lot of redheads in modern Doctor Who.
Yep, except the Doctor.
Except the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Am I ginger?
Well, maybe next time he'll be a ginger woman. They made the Master woman to prepare us.
Well, and they even pushed that a little further with the I can't remember
the security person.
Yeah,
I like that. I appreciated that. Or switched back to woman was like, oh, it's weird being a man.
Yeah, how do you handle all the ego or something? You know, something about.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Okay, yeah, my complaint aside, I enjoyed both those last two episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I like this season a lot, but I enjoyed both those last two episodes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only real problem is we've had enough time to let it percolate and let the things that bug us.
Yeah.
Oh, no, mine were right away.
Oh.
The concepts are great, though.
Yeah.
It's never perfect, the Doctor, any of the modern Doctor Who, and the old Doctor Who, too, but it's never perfect. Even as good as it gets, there's always going to be something, but...
It's the companions. They just need to stop. They didn't need to have him without a companion for a while, and I think it'd be perfect for me, because my complaints are almost always the companions, or his reaction to the companions. All his stuff was great. I want to know more about his childhood.
I think that's a dangerous territory to walk in.
I do too, but it's awesome. He was like an orphan or something, living in a barn.
It is pretty cool when they touch on that stuff, but it's also like, don't touch on it too hard, because we really don't want to know all that much too concrete.
Well, no, I don't need to know everything, but I want to know, how did he go from that to what he is?
A Time Lord who ran away?
Yeah, because aren't the Time Lords...
A Time Lord who ran away because he found out about a prophecy of the hybrid?
Yeah, and I'm confused. Our Time Lords and Gallifreyans aren't necessarily the same thing, right?
Well, we always thought they were, but...
Yeah.
I thought Time Lord was like
their race.
Okay.
Oh.
It's used interchangeably. It's used as a title, and it's used as a race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I was thinking Gallifreyan was like you were born on the planet, and then Time Lord was like you mastered time travel type of a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they've kind of established it that way.
Yeah. See, I always thought it was like, the Time Lords were the race, and also Gallifreyans, the same thing. But yeah, no, they definitely kind of...
I think a new series really hit that, where, what was it, that one, it was the flashback, where they were like, well, he's going to have to join the military because he'll never make Time Lord.
Yeah, what was it in Listen? Was that the episode?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
oh, I don't even remember that.
When they first showed him as a kid in that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the episode. I don't remember that part of it.
Yeah. There was, dialogue between the...
I was thinking it back when they had the one master, the blonde guy.
Sim?
When they were talking about having to go and be in the vortex, and what he heard was heartbeats or whatever. I'm like, oh, so you're not automatically a Time Lord. You have to like go through this whole process.
Oh, yeah.
To be. That's when I thought it.
That makes sense. Maybe I just didn't... Yeah, okay.
But my brain works weird sometimes. I don't know. I assume things, I guess, that aren't true.
So... And the Doctor forgot Clara.
Yeah, good.
For the most part.
That was kind of an interesting choice to have him be the one that forgot this time.
Really weird.
Yeah.
And Clara's kind of a turd, man.
Yeah.
He believed her. He believed that she did the thing. And so he switched it around so it'd be him, because she said she reversed the polarity.
But come on, she's She's not that bright.
She's practically the Doctor herself.
Yeah, does it feel like Maisie Williams is the sidekick in that duo?
Definitely.
Which is dumb.
Definitely.
Like,
Yeah.
she should be the Doctor of the two.
She's the one that's been
Yeah.
around for till the end of time.
Till the end of the universe.
And she's going to step aside and be the sidekick to Clara, who's obviously dangerously impulsive.
You're like, okay, you can be the chauffeur because you clearly know how to fly this thing, but that's about it.
I mean, they explained it in another episode that they shouldn't be together, and it makes sense from that episode. Him and Maisie, whatever. But I would like to see them together. I'd like to see her as his companion if he has to have one. But did you notice she kind of implied that he is immortal?
Oh, did she?
At the end of the world, the only people that are going to be there are the immortals.
Yeah.
So maybe his regenerations are limitless, and he can, revive a whole planet of Daleks, and it'll be okay because Captain Jack can revive some giant demon thing and still live to be a huge head.
Yeah, but he died eventually too,
That's
so
true.
he wasn't
It is
really
true.
immortal either.
Even Rathalon didn't know how many regenerations he had.
Uh-huh.
But
How many did we give you?
I think it's interesting. I think that's an interesting way to go about the regeneration thing, because then now they have no limit. But also they can play it up as there's actually a threat, a fear of death, like a legitimate fear of death from the Doctor, because he doesn't know. He
Right.
could be out, or he could have 1,000 more regenerations.
Yeah.
But they do need to be careful in what Jesse was saying, where he uses his regeneration power. They need to be careful to where they don't abuse this regeneration power to where the audience is like, whatever, he's got infinite regeneration power.
Yeah.
Like if they abuse it like that, it'll lose meaning. Very much the way Moffat is done, where companions never die. They die over and over, but it doesn't matter because it's comic book logic now. It makes the death of a companion lose meaning. Because I even said that episode where the crow where Clara dies, I was like, it kind of does seem like that's her actual death, but they've done this so many times that you can't trust it. And guess what?
Yeah.
You can't trust it.
yeah,
Well, I would have been okay with them, like duping the Doctor out of regenerations to keep Davros around, but then like he's plugged into the whole of the planet. If it were just like, again, the RTD thing where it's like, okay, well, we have the Dalek Empire. Now we have the Dalek planet. We just rebooted Skaro because the Doctor's here.
yeah. But then it all smushed itself.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah, wasn't that the thing, that there were so many dead Daleks that when they all regenerated, there were too many and they destroyed themselves?
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, at least in the city. I mean, the planet itself is probably going to be fine, and some Daleks would survive that. So
Yeah, the ones that didn't float off and the ones that didn't get crushed, I guess.
I thought it was a prison for the insane Daleks at this point anyway, but apparently not. Wasn't that the deal with, what was it, the first episode of the last Matt Smith season?
Asylum
of the Daleks.
I thought that was another planet altogether.
Yeah,
was
he
it?
made this one, I thought.
Because it's in 7 he shows up at Skaro, but Skaro is a dead planet at that point, and that's where he gets basically kidnapped because that was a trap.
Yeah, this is like new Skaro
Oh, okay.
that he built somehow and had hidden with cloaking devices.
I've probably mentioned this in an earlier episode, but I still love the chair bit. Where
That
yeah.
was good. Yeah, there's so many great Capaldi moments.
the Christmas special,
Yeah.
freshest in our minds.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it either, and I really expected to.
I don't like River Song, but I'm glad they made this episode.
I double expected to hate it because I had been listening to the Diary of River Song because that released early for, at least for North America. It was earlier than the episode itself. And so I was listening to that and I was like, like Stephen Moffat has written all of River Song's episodes, like all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was Big Finish finally getting a crack at it. Apparently with his blessing, with Stephen Moffat's blessing. And I was honestly like, I'd rather have a Bernie Summerfield.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
She's a better archaeologist. Like River is just River, and sure, she's an archaeologist, but that's just kind of a front for everything else she does.
Mhm.
Whereas I feel like Bernice Summerfield is better at being the academic that's messed up by the doctor.
Mhm.
So
She's
I don't know. I was just not impressed, at least opening up that Big Finish set. And then I was like, oh boy, I'm going to watch a whole episode of this. Then she had the sonic trowel
Yeah.
in the diary. So you know that the two, that BBC or at least Moffat had been communicating with Big Finish.
That's pretty interesting, especially if they released that audio play, and then the episode come out.
hmm
Yeah.
Because that sonic trowel wasn't established previously, was it?
Excuse me.
No,
Didn't she
she had like lipstick or something.
the sonic
before that.
lipstick or something, yeah, which was ridiculous and a little
Yeah.
weird. At first, I was really uncertain about this episode. They did the weird thing where it was playing like River didn't know anything about the doctor.
Mhm. I still think she would have known before that moment.
She's part Time Lord. She would have sensed it.
Yeah. She's
She's a hybrid.
She is a hybrid.
That's what you guys say. I don't think so.
Go watch those horrible episodes.
I think that she is a Time Lord because that's how Time Lords were created.
Well, no, that might be so.
Because pawns have sex in the TARDIS.
Yeah, by being in the time stream when you're born, and then that's how they
They're just
first were created.
humans,
Yeah,
or at
they
least
were
very
humans that
human-like.
became Time Lords.
Mhm.
That's how it. That's my theory.
Well, that's
but
what
that's
that-
not something they're ever going to touch on. I'm sure.
That's what that kind of infers. Except for the two hearts thing. But
But I've been saying that before River Song was even a thing.
She's got two hearts, though. I mean, like, for all intents and purposes, she's a Time Lord, right? Or a Gallifreyan.
No, she's neither because she wasn't born on Gallifrey and she didn't have to go through the trial crap. She's just a human with two hearts that was born in the time stream.
I don't think she has the two
She's
hearts,
the
though.
future. She doesn't.
No. I think that's what...
But she has all those regenerations. Just like,
she had the regenerations, which she gave all to the doctor, which
Right.
makes her just normal human again, I guess. I don't know. Those are the worst.
Yeah, so confusing.
I think the way they
augmented timeline or whatever, because she's 200 years old or something.
yeah, the very concept of how the whole River Song thing was going to go from the beginning, after they killed her and they planned on bringing her, I'm assuming at least at some point we're like, yeah, we need to bring her back and she'll become his wife and all this, was going to get muddy. But the Let's Kill Hitler whole that episode
was the worst episode ever made.
and that whole plot line muddied it beyond, you can't step out of it. It's such a mess after that.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she was went through these generations and was an assassin, like a trained assassin,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just stupid. And that kind of went a long way to really being an issue.
Yeah.
Just
I was gonna say, but being a trained assassin explains why she's more like Indiana Jones than a real archaeologist that digs and goes to school, and that's it.
ignoring all that, we'll go back to this episode because we sidetracked ourselves. We sidetrack
Sorry.
ourselves with, it's mostly my fault with complaining about it. We sidetrack ourselves. So
Yeah.
my bad. I didn't find her to be a likable character, and that kind of made me like the episode more because I was like, oh yeah, there's kind of a reason I don't like River Song. She's kind of abrasive.
Yeah.
And when she didn't realize the doctor was around, she's not a very she's just not a pleasant person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the tone of the episode was, we knew it was going to be that kind of goofy, kind of fun, blah, 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 all
Yeah,
this
it's the Christmas. It's gotta be.
comedic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was okay. Some of it was actually kind of funny. So that was fun. But I thought the moment where, she's like, he's not here, blah, blah, blah. And
Her monologue.
and Capaldi's like, River. I thought that actually worked really well.
Oh yeah, it did.
And I was on
Yeah.
board. I was like, oh, wow, this is actually working. This actually makes me care about the River Song doctor dynamic, whereas before I never cared because
Mm-hmm.
it just never worked for me.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
No.
There was no reason for them to love each other,
Well,
or at least for him.
yeah, at least for the doctor, because for the
Yeah.
most part, almost every time, I mean, they had more run-ins when he was, Matt Smith, but for the most part, like, every time the doctor met her was like, she was still kind of new to him, and he didn't really know her that well.
Mm-hmm.
And they played that for pretty long into their interactions.
Yeah.
So
And he was always annoyed because she knew more than he did
Mhm.
whenever they wandered into a scenario.
And he met her, she died, then he met her and she's just born, and then they're supposed to get married 2 weeks later or something. Yeah, that's weird and awkward, and why would he... yeah.
It just, I mean, the relationship idea just didn't really work, at least on the, from the doctor's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But here it kind of worked.
Yeah.
And you had said something after we watched it where, I mean, it seems like Capaldi's still quite a bit older than her.
Yeah.
But that age, like, their age range seems more in line with something that, like, would...
You'd see in the
her
real
and
world?
Capaldi, like, seem at least closer in age, or at least maturity, than her and even Tennant, but especially her and Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And the end was great. I thought that was
Mhm.
pretty good.
Yeah.
She played it well. Capaldi played it well, and the last night being
24 years.
was pretty good.
Yeah. And that's one of my biggest complaints with the whole River Song thing is I'm like, they're never unless she is in the show until the end of time, they're not going to be able to explain them having had this big long relationship. But having 24 years that we at least know they had helps right there.
And then because I got to complain a little bit once again, it's the doctor saying goodbye to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really like from the very her first appearance was kind of her role. She died.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the feels. It's sad because he's got to say goodbye and blah, blah, blah. And it just becomes that over and over.
Which at the time she didn't know who he was, but now she has every face he's ever had except the current one.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. But that's okay.
It's interesting because in the Big Finish stories, they're much more cautious about it. And that was the thing that threw me off a little bit watching the episode was that in this box set that just dropped, she comes in contact with the Eighth Doctor, and she's very careful about how she interacts with him. But in this, it seemed like she was looking for any one of his faces.
Yeah.
It didn't matter, really. Like, well, let's find the damsel, or whatever she was calling him.
Uh-huh.
So when they say how old he is, are they just going to go by him living for a week, or are they going to go by him living for like 40 billion years? Because if he's got to be like, I'm 40 billion in 1012, or I don't know.
My diary, my 4 billion year diary now.
Yeah. I don't think they can do it. I don't think they can address the age thing anymore. They'll just have to be like, I lost count a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because
It seemed like it jumped around a lot anyway.
well, it did during Moffat's run.
Mm-hmm.
It at least 1,000 to 2,000 years before the whole confession dial thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I swear every time Matt Smith opened his mouth, he was given a different age.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't always going along with what he had said the last time.
Well, at one point while he was still traveling with Amy and Rory, between visits with them, he had been gone for like 200 years his time.
Mm-hmm.
So like there'd be big jumps like that. And then,
And yet,
Christmas
700 years. Yeah, 700 years, suddenly he ages a lot.
thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but like many doctors ago, he was like 1,000 years old. And like when Matt Smith was saying it, I swear he said he was like 700 or something.
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know either, but I'm just saying.
The doctor's
what my brain
age
says.
hasn't mathed right in a long time.
Yeah.
And now there's no amount of math that'll
Maybe
put
he's
it
like me,
straight.
except he didn't have diaries, so he really doesn't know, and he just guesses. He's like, today, I think I might be this old today.
Well,
I don't
sometimes
know, who knows?
Even before that, like during, I mean, there's been different points where he's said, I can never really keep track.
Yeah.
I just throw a number out there.
Yeah.
You know, so
Be impressive.
it's been vague for a long time, but now it has to be vague.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move away from this.
Yes, I'm sorry. We spent way too long talking about it.
Yeah, it always happens with Doctor.
I know.
Doctor Who will do that to you.
Jesse, do you happen to have your computer screen?
I have.
I do. It is it's still locked in a tie.
It's locked in a tie. So what are the two options?
We have Identity Crisis, which is DC Comics.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're kicking it a little more old school with Flash, The Return of Barry Allen.
Oh, interesting.
Which I don't even know. I mean, that one will be a little harder to get a hold of, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued by this because I always look them up when I see them pop up on our little poll.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while there, they were both real easy to get. But now the Return of Barry Allen is a little harder to find on Amazon, at least. So.
Yeah.
But how do we? I mean,
Flip a coin?
that aside, we might as well try and see what actually comes up. I do not have a coin.
Did we flip a
Do you
coin
guys
last
have a
time?
coin?
I do, but isn't that what we did last time?
Oh, I have a penny. Yeah, I think we flipped a coin last time.
Yeah. We've had a couple ties.
Do we? Okay, so Identity Crisis is heads.
Sounds good. And
Right.
and Flash is tails?
Sure.
Yeah, because I've got reasonings in my head, but it's not important.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Oh, it fell on the ground. It is heads. So
Identity
Crisis.
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 Okay. So next month, between now and next month, we will read Identity Crisis, and we will talk about it next episode.
Yes.
No, this is good. The Flash one, I mean, more Flash comics in general is kind of on my list of shame, but Identity Crisis I've never read. And I don't know if it's supposed to be good or not. I think
you'll like it. It's I remember I read it because it was kind of in that. It was in that time where I was getting back into DC, and so all these things were happening, and this was one of those where it's like, whoa. And Batman plays pretty heavily into this, I think.
Well, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely one I think I should read as much DC as I read.
It was some of the kind of good New 52, and I can kind of see why they went into the New 52 after they did event after event after event. But this was when they were kind of hitting their stride with some of the good events. I think this is part of where this event fatigue comes in, is this hit really well.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. That means Flash is now the front runner.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have not read any Flash, I don't believe, have I? So I'm excited
I don't
because
think so.
I've been watching the show. So
Oh, the return of Barry Allen might be pretty interesting then.
yeah.
Because Barry Allen is the original Flash,
Mm-hmm.
and he disappears in the
Time stream?
Crisis on.
Oh.
Yeah, basically. Gets sucked up into the time stream, and Wally West takes over. And this is during the Wally West era.
The name like Wally West. I'm sorry, I'm not even going
You
anywhere
just
with
made
that.
Flash fan enemies.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Melanie's got the details on what we read this month.
Yes, we read Why the Last Man.
Why? Because we like him.
And it was what, book one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the first 5 or 6 issues, but it's the trade paperback volume 1.
Okay.
Unmanned.
Unmanned. Written by Brian K. Vaughan. Penciled by Pia Guerrera?
Mhm.
Guerrera? Yeah. Inked by Jose Marzan Jr. Colorist Pamela Rambo. What a name. Letterer Clem Robbins. And the original series cover was by J.G. Jones, which is also, that's an actual awesome name.
J.G. Jones?
Yeah, J.G. Jones.
This
Like
is
Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Pamela Rambo.
Yep.
This is, we kind of look through Brian K. Vaughan's stuff to see what else he's written. Like we know,
Saga.
Oh,
we knew
yeah.
Saga. But I think, so this is the second book for the poll list by Brian K. Vaughan that we've read because we did Saga some number of episodes ago.
And he's written individual issues and such, endless small runs for both Marvel and DC and Dark Horse and like a billion things. So, you know.
And he also, I believe, was it Pride of Baghdad?
Yes.
He wrote that, and that is also on our poll list.
Oh, yeah, I like that
is?
one.
I'm not done with it, but I've read some of it.
I think that's on our poll list. I don't think it has a lot of votes, but somebody added it some time ago.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I
then
think it's got a vote.
maybe by the time it's done, I'll have another one under my belt that I won't have to read.
Yeah.
Brian K. Vaughan is a popular one for the poll.
Yeah, he is.
Well, thank you, people, because...
Well, he's a good writer, so it's nice to get recommended good things.
Yeah, and I've already read them. That's my whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. You'd already read, you were caught up on Saga when we read that first trade.
See, I never get like that because like Identity Crisis, yeah, I read it, but I'm going to have to reread it or I'll have another Red Sun and Superman issue where I don't remember any of it.
Oh, yeah. That was an interesting review. We were in person that one.
And I even tried to read most of that, but I just didn't have enough time to get it all.
So this is a first time read for me. I mean, it's obviously, everybody says you got to read Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
And for a lot of comic book readers that aren't necessarily interested in superheroes, this is oftentimes the book that they are introduced to, which is why I think I recommended it to Melanie early on when she was reading stuff.
I think,
even though I hadn't read it, but it's on all the lists. Like,
right.
You have to read this. So
it might have been the thing I read right after Sandman.
That is like the top 2 on the list of comic books to recommend to non-superhero. Yeah.
Well, I like it, and if you guys liked it, maybe you should continue on because it just gets better.
Well, and jumping ahead.
Okay.
So first time for me, Melanie's read the whole series. Had you read this before, Jesse?
Nope. Same thing. I'd heard of it. I'd heard great things about it. I'd even eyeballed it, and I just never really started it.
It's because you're men. If you were a woman,
no
you'd be
idea
all about that.
Okay.
Didn't even know what it was about. I just knew it was supposed to be good.
I do want to say, and I think this is part of it, I'm going to go ahead and jump into just general feelings while reading this book.
Yes.
As a man, it made me very nervous.
Yeah?
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable in a weird way where it's like, you want things to be better than that. I'm sure as a woman reading it, you're like, well, it should be better than this. I mean, not in terms of quality, but in terms of like the setting. The spoilers, by the way, for the first trade. But, so all the men die, except for, as far as we know, this one. And
Alas, poor Yorick.
And his monkey, Ampersand.
Which I love.
And so that also tells us that all the male species of everything die.
Except for
him and the monkey. And it's kind of a post-apocalyptic world, which makes sense because, and even some of the women, I think, some character at one point says, something along the lines of figuring that, if all the men died out, they thought the women would make the world, better. But, I mean, regardless, men or women, it's half of the population suddenly just dead. So.
Not only that, but you can't have kids.
Yeah.
Whatever killed them, you would assume it killed everybody. It's, you think it'd be.
And wasn't there also mention of women being barren then? I thought there was also mention of.
Well, right, because whatever killed them has to be something virus-y like. Well, it doesn't have to be, but you assume it is because babies are dying. So if you can't have babies from the sperm you have, and all the men are dead, then you can't. Continue life, except for if there's some asexual species out there.
But I thought, like they couldn't use even like the backup sperm bank stuff because, I thought it made women sterile as well.
It did no.
I might have misread it. I thought somebody said it did.
I didn't catch that if they did. So.
Okay.
Oh well, I've read the whole thing, so
my bad. Oh, well.
Well, no,
I liked your tone. It was like,
I didn't reread it. I just skimmed through, so I don't know what they established and what they hadn't.
but you've read the whole series.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have, as usual, you have knowledge we don't have.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my bad. I'll edit all this and sound like a smart guy.
Yes.
So, but I don't, it made me nervous.
Mm-hmm. Like you're going to get raped? Sorry.
Jeez.
That's what I would worry about if I was him.
Kind of. I mean, and it would be the same thing if no. I think it would make me more uncomfortable if it was all the women died except for one. But you do have that feeling of, well, regardless who finds him, it's just not going to be a good situation for this guy.
No, it's death by snoo either way.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable. And jumping right into it, the guy's kind of an idiot.
Yeah, he is.
And he doesn't, he's survived several months traveling, keeping a low profile and being okay. But I don't know how, because he can't keep his temper in check or something. And he's got to just constantly whip off his mask and be like, listen to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, what do you, stop it. What are you doing?
More people know who you are than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And everybody knows who Spider-Man is. So way to go.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know that you really get into it much here, but he's such a girly man. He's so emotional, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's so in love with his Australian,
she's
whatever, traveling girlfriend.
Yeah.
It kind of seemed like she
was kind of like,
It almost seemed like she was about to break up with him. So, yeah, I think that was misplaced on his behalf too.
Yeah.
So that's setting up for something unfortunate.
She made a Serpico reference, so that she's at least that cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He does have some skills, even though he's jobless when we first meet him, and still has money to buy and take care of a monkey. But he has some escapist, is that the word?
Escape artist?
Escape artist skills.
Escapist means he's daydreaming a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, good point. 2016, I'm gonna word right. So that comes in handy once in a while. His mother was, or is a senator?
Yeah, I think so.
But I thought it was interesting that she's kind of like a conservative kind of pro-life senator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's Democratic, but she's pro-life, because then the Republicans show up.
Yeah.
And that's a whole deal.
Yeah. I like the lead up to the men dying off. You start at the very beginning and it's like, the men are dead. All the men are dead. And then you jump back, I don't know, an hour or 30 minutes. Not that long, but you get kind of a countdown to when it happens.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a dramatic, the men are dead too,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The flashback to before was interesting because it sets up a lot of stuff, and I guess it's all just establishing several of the characters that we're gonna come across. Yorick and his mother and his sister, who you don't even find out in her first scene that it's his sister till later. It was setting stuff up with them, but I thought it was interesting in that it was establishing these little situations, like the senators arguing with the other guy, the other senator, and that's where the whole pro-life type, that fact comes out. And I was just like, this is interesting because it's setting a bunch of stuff up involving these men, but in however many pages or however long, all these guys are going to be dead. Most likely the stuff that it's setting up doesn't seem relevant. And some of it is relevant, but I thought that was just an interesting way to go about it. But then again, that's the most realistic way to go about it, because they're all just doing what they would normally be doing.
Yeah, because they don't know they're going to die.
Yeah,
just because we do.
So I thought that was cool. More thoughts? You want to continue plot details?
Okay.
I can only hear myself talk for so long.
Okay. So, I didn't reread. I skimmed. I know, yeah, he's got this ridiculous love for his girlfriend that, he's not gonna whatever until he finds her stupid things. But for some reason, I don't know if it has to do with that or not, he goes to Washington, D.C., where his mother is.
Mm-hmm.
And, she is smart enough to realize, because, apparently the women in his family are the dominant people,
yeah.
which probably has something to do with him being too feminine anyway. Or not feminine, but, touchy-feely, whiny. Anyway, so she realizes that him being alive is a really big thing and sets him up with...
Is it Agent 355 or 3 something like that?
I don't know. I want to say 377, but...
Yeah, that might be it.
It's a number. She's a number. Anyway, no, I wasn't gonna... she has her guard him, but the idea is to get him to the Asian woman whose name I can't remember, who is a geneticist.
To Dr. Mann?
That makes sense.
That would be ironic.
But it's all like
sticking
that.
out in my mind.
Dr. Mann and Hero and, manly woman, strong women, I should say.
And it's with that doctor, it's important to know, okay, so she wants to send him over there because she's like the foremost in cloning, like the scientist in cloning, the cloning field.
Mm-hmm.
But part of the whole countdown was she was pregnant with her own clone, artificially pregnant with her own clone. At least how this how this book sets it up is the clone was born right at the moment that all the men died.
Yeah. And
the clone died too.
Yeah. It was a boy.
Yeah.
So it wasn't...
It was like a genetic... Yeah.
It was a modified clone.
Yeah.
Yep, it's Dr. Mann. And it's Agent 355.
355.
Okay.
You were right.
Okay.
377 is a TV show, Whatever. So...
I really dug how it really flips these gender stereotypes. Like one of the first females that Yorick encounters in his disguise is like this supermodel that now is basically a bring out your dead garbage man.
Yeah.
Oh, they even make that reference too. They even make the bring out your dead reference, which is pretty good. Yeah, and she complains about like she had just got a boob job. And she's like,
what are these going to do for me?
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the things that I enjoy because I find it humorous myself, although if I was really there, I'd be very emotional about it, but since it's fiction, it's fine. Some of these women lose their freaking minds. And I can kind of understand, like, the beginning, the cop that is like, there's no men, the world's gonna end. And
her family, like, didn't she say something about her family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she shoots herself.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of makes sense to me, but I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Anyway. But the Amazons, my goodness, these women go insane. They're like super feminists. Cut off their boobs.
They cut off one boob.
Oh, cut off one boob. Like the Amazons of old, apparently. Are just like crazy.
They're basically like a crazy
gangs.
Biker gang.
Yeah. They're like they're like, men are gone. Now we have to turn into penises, only a different word for it, since there aren't any left. I don't know.
I don't understand their goal other than just to be jerks because, okay, they can be super feminists if they want, but like, who are they fighting? There's no men around.
Right.
They want to remake everything because the old world didn't work.
And okay, no, yeah, that's
so
true.
Like all the men are gone, so now we can start over. But a lot of like the rest of the world is still kind of hanging on to vestiges of the old society.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, because they don't know what else to do. I'm just defending regular people, but it doesn't matter. Their reasoning doesn't matter to me. How are they going to remake society for the next, say 60, maybe 90 years if there's some tiny baby girls that can manage to survive after everybody else dies. Then everybody's dead. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah. Well,
why make it more uncomfortable for everyone around you?
Well, a lot of the women that join up, and they even say do so, to get protection, to join this big tough group, and they'll be.
It's like a prison gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. I mean, after Jesse's right, and that's something I forgot about. A good example is when they went to the monument, or how did they put it? The shrine.
Yeah.
And what else?
It's the Washington Monument.
Yeah.
What else would it be?
And they show up, and it kind of proved the point. Like, stop worshiping this. These are all gone. We can remake it we can get rid of the man things. Do it the way.
Because I'd rather look at a mountain than a freaking hole in the ground. Okay. God.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well, that's your preference.
All right.
But you don't have to argue against these women. They're simply characters in a fictional comic book.
I know.
And we're explaining. I don't think the comic book itself is defending these women for the most part, because they're kind of the bad guys at this point in time. And even if they weren't, a self-mutilation is never a good thing.
No
you don't
kidding.
need to do that.
That's usually a bad sign.
They're not shooting bows and arrows. I mean, they might be, but they don't have to.
Yeah.
So that's not a necessary thing.
And what a pain in the butt. Just get a crossbow.
Yeah.
When the leader chick seems really rational and stuff, and then they then they don't act rationally at all, though.
Yeah.
No, she seems like a cult leader. Like, everybody drink the Kool-Aid. That's what I get from her.
Yeah, that's true.
In this case, the Kool-Aid is missing boob.
It's true.
Right. Flannel, missing boob, and motorcycles.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed and was frustrated by the wives of the male Republicans that died.
Yeah.
They feel they have, and parties, Republican, Democrat aside, I agree with the senator lady. They don't have any stake to come in and take their husbands' places.
Yeah.
Because they were not the politicians.
You don't inherit someone's job when they pass away.
Yeah. So
unless it's a family business, I guess, but
But they feel they have a stake on these jobs. They're like, our husbands are all dead. They were these, whatever. We should be able to take their spot.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of aside from, the way that they approached it, I was like, well, they're both being intolerant, just like in the real world.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, they're right, but you could just diffuse this by saying, okay, well, we can make you interim, but we're going to hold an election.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's all you had to do there. But she did also have somebody at gunpoint, so, don't necessarily negotiate with a terrorist, which is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that went badly, and that was shocking.
Yeah.
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 But I mean, all the men had already died. I don't know why.
But it also reinforces yeah, most of these ladies don't know what they're doing. The wives of the Republican, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's
to the point where the one lady's accidentally shoots a chick in the head and then starts bawling because she didn't mean to. It's like, you didn't really think through what you're doing.
But
another gal was just there to pick up some photos or something.
Mm-hmm.
I just came to get some photos from my husband's office.
But it also falls into, you've got one strong leader and a lot of people are going to flock behind because that seems safer than being out on your own. That's interesting. That's kind of that's how it would be, but
maybe. I don't know.
Well, if the government crumbled and there's no sense of who's the leader, that's kind of what would happen. People would band together.
Women don't like each other.
Well, yeah, and these groups do not seem the most cohesive, stable organizations, but...
No, I'm just saying, I don't think you could get more than 2 or 3 women to group together. They'd be very, very small groups, I believe. And if you had a disagreement with somebody, we'd go right to viciously murdering each other. I'm pretty sure. There wouldn't be any, terrorizing. We'd just, slaughter them. And then whoever was better at killing would be the group that survived. That's what it would really be like.
So like Mad Max.
Yeah, it'd be much more like Mad Max.
I like your approach to reviewing this.
I'm sorry.
It's much more emotional based.
It's much, it definitely makes for a more interesting narrative.
You're like, no. this is how it would be.
Well,
So what else happens?
They find the doctor.
Can you explain,
yes.
either of you, a little bit more? The military lady from where? The Middle East somewhere?
Uh-huh.
What's her deal? I do not understand.
They didn't really reveal it for us, I don't think, did they?
Okay. I didn't. I mean,
I think that's a longer arc.
They kind of like explained a little bit her motives, I guess. Like basically, she just wants to take a bunch of everything over, or get power. But like,
not necessarily religious, but definitely like a national fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
Her country is the best country, and now is their chance to prove it. And the way to prove it is by having him, and no one is ever going to get in their way.
And
they're going to be the rulers of the world.
We're going to do it. Laverne and Shirley gone horribly wrong.
Yeah. Shamil, Shmazel. It's just, she's an odd character because it seems so out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
like cutting your boob off isn't.
No, but like those most of the characters are local characters.
Yeah.
Wasn't she across the sea when it all happened, and then she come to America?
Yeah, because someone called her and told her about Yorick.
That's it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. She's just still a weird character. I don't know, I was just like, whoa, this is... Because you've got... Okay, it makes sense they're in Washington, you know, most of the characters are in America, even the Amazons, even though they have interactions with Yorick, you can see where that's going to become tied closer together because that's where Hero ended up, which was an interesting reveal. And she's also the one that's supposed to hunt down this man.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see how that goes. But, you know, so most of the main characters or the groups involved with the main characters are this family.
Mm-hmm.
Or directly involved with this family of these three characters. But then you've got the military leader person from across the ocean, and it just seemed really odd to me. And they set the whole cloning idea back quite a bit, these military people.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the fanaticism bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be the best, and nothing's going to stand in our way. And if they can clone something, then that will get in our way. So let's destroy it.
Regardless what it means for
the rest of the world.
Yeah. And then so we're left with we've got Yorick, 355, and the scientist lady,
and
Ampersand,
of course,
who was a problem, but also kind of saved them by running off.
Mm-hmm. He does that a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And we've got those three, and the book pretty much ends with, well, here are our options. Where are we going to go? And that's the end of the book. So it's definitely a lot of setup.
Uh-huh. Things get better. Amazing things happen. It's great.
Amazing thing. Yeah. My overall feelings is I liked it. It definitely made me feel anxious because it is, you know, it's a scary situation.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly there's a lot of crazy people out there that they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, well, women are nuts.
It definitely makes you think about, think and rethink about different gender stereotypes. It's like, this is how you think it's going to go. No, here's how it's going to go, and here's why that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. Like,
except
you think that it's going to be like this matriarchy and they're all going to kumbaya together, but no, that's not how it goes down, because...
Yeah, only men would think that. Women can't stand each other. Really. It's not just me being me. It's really, like, ask most women, they don't really like women. Because women are, you know, our brains are wired to use 15 different areas at once. Things are confusing, and we make each other angry, and things like that. And that's without all the hormone crap.
Well, I'm glad you have that. I'm glad you shared that opinion with us. And me and Jesse are going to share no opinion at all.
Aren't you guys happy now that you have a female on your show?
Well, I was always happy to have you on the show.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. Here's one of the instances where it's to your benefit.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's good to have that perspective.
Yeah.
Especially of the perspective of someone who doesn't have to worry so much about getting crap if they have strong opinions on things.
Yeah, because I'm not going to read anything anyway.
No, I know. No, and I don't really have anything to say about that aspect of the story that I think would be anything I'd have to censor anyway. Yeah, I don't know. It's well written. The characters are pretty well defined, I think. The art looks nice. For some reason, I thought this was black and white. I don't know why. Like, I mean, before reading it. Yeah, I mean, it would work fine. I don't think it would really, It probably
because the look of it is somewhat similar to Walking Dead, I'm going to think.
Yeah, maybe. And high contrast. Maybe it's high contrast, but I mean, it looked good. I just don't know why I thought it was black and white. Maybe the certain use of colors on the covers. Like there's a lot of white space, if I remember right, on the covers. But so yeah, I enjoyed it and I would definitely be interested in reading more.
Yeah, I'd say you can believe the hype on this one. Like a lot of times you'll hear it's the greatest thing ever, and then it's like, it's good. This was pretty good. Yeah, it
was pretty good. It gets better.
Well, and you said the same about several things we've read.
Was it Saga?
Well, most of the time that's how things happen, especially when you're just reading book one and you know that it's made to be
this ongoing series, especially a series that's concluded.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about a television show? Because it's
Oh yeah, that's right.
I heard that.
It's happening. I don't know the details. I don't know what network, and I don't know if any actors
I'm going to love it because I'm so tired of the last whatever and then they're not.
Right. Ooh, that tells us something.
Yeah.
That tells us something. That's a bit of a spoiler. Interesting.
How many volumes is this? Like, do they have a lot of source material? Like, is this a show that could be ongoing for a while? Or is it going to be Game of Thrones where it's like, oh boy, well, we've got X numbers of volumes and how long can we stretch this out?
Is it 100 issues?
I didn't read it by issues. I read it as books.
I know, but I don't know. I want to say there's got to be like 8, 9, 10 trades at least. That's an awful lot. I asked this
and I'm sitting right in front of a computer.
That's an awful lot now that I think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. No, there's not that.
60th and final issue. 60 issues.
So 60 issues. That's a pretty good amount.
I don't know what they would do unless they'd have to change it to have it go on after the end. Well, both. The story ends far in the future, I suppose, maybe. Kind of, or not far. It's like Yorick, farther in Yorick's future, I should say. But there's stuff that happened between like where the story really ends and then the little end of the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, do you see a lot of room to like expand or draw out? Because like, for example,
are you serious?
Even Yorick. Okay. You've got the whole setup, and I'm assuming if they're doing a series, they'd want to get to the payoff at least by the end of the pilot episode. The men are dead. But, I mean, even just Yorick getting to Washington could be at least one, if not more, episodes.
Yeah, it should be.
Like, they could drag that out if they needed.
Right. Well, that was my point. They could expand on what the little they have, but also, they're, like, between books, I don't know if it's between like this book and the next book, but I know between some of the books, there's like large chunks of time that they just say we traveled from here to here. They don't actually have them doing that. That stuff could have happened, you know.
So if need be, there's a lot they could expand.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Kind of like Walking Dead, where we see more of their time on the road.
Yeah.
So, there's that. And then if they, like I said, if they wanted to continue after they could, it would just be...
they can deviate and stuff.
Yeah. It'd be more boring because the adventureness of it would not be there necessarily.
I'm interested to see more comic book properties picked up, which seems to be happening. More comic book properties picked up for shows that's not superhero comics.
Yeah.
Like that, and Preacher is happening.
Preacher's still kind of superhero-y. A little bit.
It's supernatural.
Supernatural, okay, yeah.
I'm down with Supernatural. Walking Dead I enjoy Walking Dead TV show.
Yeah. That could be sciencey. But well, it is. It's a virus, whatever.
Yeah.
It is still, But Preacher, I don't know what network is it going to be on, because there's no way they can make that on anything that isn't like HBO or something like that.
I don't think it's HBO.
Then it's not going to be Preacher.
They're going to have a Constantine problem.
Yeah.
First of all,
it's not a network. It's not like a broadcast network.
Every other word is a Grawlix. There's
I know.
horrible gory violence. There's tons of nudity. I just don't see how they can make it work.
So, The Walking Dead. Are you ready for some dead air?
Yep.
Hey, yeah. A little bit. Bring it on.
Yeah, I am so glad we're finally getting to stuff that I have been trying. I've been succeeding. I'm so proud of myself in not saying to you, to both of you, but specifically you. Jeez Louise.
So in our ongoing journey through the Walking Dead comic book series, we're up to, God, which trade was this?
This was volume or chapter 5.
Big things happening.
Mm-hmm.
And The Walking Dead, shocking things have happened so far in this series.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that anything quite as straight up messed up and hardcore has happened yet this far as what happens in here.
You mean in the show, or you mean just?
I'm talking about the comic book.
Okay, yeah, you're right. No,
crazy stuff has happened in the comic book so far. But it kind of seems like we're hitting new levels of
extreme,
brutality and kind of evil.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And this is only the beginning.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
It was honestly, it was kind of unpleasant.
Of course. It's meant to be unpleasant.
I know it's meant to be unpleasant, but it was an unpleasant read at times.
Yeah.
Because you like these characters.
Mm-hmm. I think obviously they're in the prison, clearing it out.
Yeah, they're clearing it out.
I think it's cleared.
It's pretty much, they're ready to expand into the prison. Get out of that one cell block they were in.
Yeah.
They're going to try to get the generator going. Glenn has found a bunch of riot suits, which there's a lot of fun conversations about, a lot of fun dialogue about the riot suits, and Glenn's super excited about them and all that, which kind of ends up being a bad thing for them. Definitely.
Yeah.
The riot suits.
Yeah.
The whole trouble starts when they're just going out to the parking lot to siphon gas to throw in the generator to see if the generator in the prison works. Because they want to watch a movie.
Right.
Oh, well, that's one of the things.
That's what Herschel wants to do or whatever.
Yeah, that's one of the things they're excited about. And I would be too.
Yeah.
An apocalyptic world with no electricity, and somebody's like, we can watch a DVD. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So they're going to watch Kindergarten Cop, most likely. So.
Of all the things, but they're limited by what's in the prison.
Yeah, and it's mostly
or whatever.
Mostly, what they say, cheesy comedies or something, which makes sense because there's certain,
Yeah, I know.
There's certain things you're not going to want to stock in a prison and get people riled up.
Yeah,
and so Glenn and Rick have put the suits on to give them a try, give them a whirl, and Michonne just busts out of nowhere like, "Yeah, I'm going with you," and. Or no, that's not till later, is it?
No, they're just going to siphon gas right now, and then in the sky... Sorry.
You can continue. They see a helicopter.
Yeah.
And, of course, Rick's like, oh, what do you think the deal is? The helicopter goes down and crashes, and they're like, well, let's go find out, let's go see where it crashed and go find those people. Because reasons. Just to find out where they came from, and, they had a helicopter, so maybe they have resources and can help them out and all this. And that's when they're like, okay, well, we're going to leave. They tell so-and-so to run back and tell everybody we'll be back later tonight. And Michonne's like, I'm going. And the three of them leave.
And Lori's like, no, you aren't. Any of you. Don't go.
Yeah, Lori, and
And Carol's like, I love you all.
Oh, the Carol stuff. The Carol stuff is great. In fact, at one point, before like the really unpleasant stuff started happening, when they're out on the road trying to get to this helicopter thing, it would switch between following those three out on the road and the Carol and Lori.
Mm-hmm.
The Carol and Lori stuff was what I was really like. It would cut back to the other group, and I was like, no, where's this going? I want to read this. This is bizarre.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and just jump to that. So Carol's obviously been a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a suicide attempt, and she's trying to latch on to pretty much anybody that'll have her, but not just like, hang out with me, like marry me, to the extreme. She asks Lori if Lori and Rick would marry her.
Yeah.
Like as a couple, couple.
In her defense, right before that, Lori said that they loved her.
They both loved her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, in her defense, but that's still a leap from...
Yeah, but she's crazy. They know she's crazy. She's having crazy time right now. Keep extreme words to yourself, and love is an extreme word.
This is true. Yeah, I was blown away by that. I was like, wow, she really is.
Looney Tunes?
Well, she really is kind of a mess. Yeah. Also, I can't remember exactly what it was, but we kind of find out a little bit more about Lori. And now I'm not saying Lori totally reacted wrongly, but Lori is kind of a small town, stuck up, ultra conservative type chick. And I thought that was interesting. She's like, I'm from a small town. I'm from, Kentucky small town, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I didn't know she was from Kentucky, but I mean, they lived in a suburb of Atlanta. So south, suburbs, of course they're going to be like, here's my gun, stay off my lawn, men's and women's should be together. I don't know.
I just...
we're going to get some hate mail.
The opinions of Melanie are
not necessarily the opinions
of the Grawlix podcast.
Send me hate mail. I don't care. I don't read my mail anyway.
They don't know where to send you mail.
If they look on the website, they do. It's right there.
Is it? Well, no, they'll send me mail at the Grawlix account.
I thought I had my own account.
You do, but I've never posted it anywhere. You don't use it. Oh,
you're right.
It might not even be active anymore.
You know how many of my personal email accounts I don't use?
For all your hate speeches.
I don't give hate speeches. I don't hate anyone. I
know. Except for other women.
I don't hate them. I don't like them. There's a difference.
They hate me and I hate them. That's how all women are. I'm just kidding.
We're not going to have a campfire sing-along.
No.
No, I thought it was interesting. I understand why Lori would kind of have a negative reaction, because that is a pretty decent bottle of crazy to have to deal with. Uh-huh. But also, Lori has been super emotional. Intense,
and super pregnant at this point, too.
Yeah.
And she eventually just goes off on her as well. Mm-hmm. So... yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting bit of like drama that I was not expecting. Mm-hmm. And
in a similar vein, you got Dale and Andrea like taking on Alan's twins.
Are you our new mommy and daddy?
Yeah.
The look on their face too when the kid said that.
I like the response too.
What was the response to it?
He's like, "No, but you can call us that if you want."
Oh yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of sweet. Not necessarily
when she face palms, like Dale throws that out there and Andrea's like, oh my god.
He's an old guy. I could see that.
Yeah.
Being like, whatever, kid. But does this make you feel better?
Yeah, I wouldn't be like, yeah, call me daddy. I'm not your daddy, but call me daddy. That's gross. It's wrong. Don't do that.
Well, the way you said it was weird.
You either say, yes, we are going to be your new mommy and daddy, or you say no. You don't say don't say no, but call me daddy. God, it's wrong.
You have some interesting opinions tonight.
Yeah, I know. I feel it. I've got the spunk all over me.
Spunk Master Melanie.
Where does that fall in Grawlix territory? Do I leave?
That's not a bad word.
I know. I have cut innuendo.
Oh, have you?
I've cut innuendo before.
Oh, baby.
It was pretty strong innuendo.
It's fun.
It was pretty vulgar. I'll leave that, but I have cut things in the past where I kind of wanted to leave it, but I was like, that is way above and beyond what we usually do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got it set aside somewhere. I was almost thinking like Grawlix After Dark.
Yeah.
Grawlix After Dark. After Nights.
Yeah, Grawlix After Nights.
You know what you should do? You remember that one? I think this was a previous podcast we attempted, where it was just like, beep, and then a portion of it had to be removed because everyone would be offended.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was on the Dubcast when there was like 6 people in the room or something, and it just went into a spiral or something.
Right.
Yeah, and I would. Yeah, you said some stuff where I didn't even know how to cut it, so I just did like a cassette tape sound where it's like stop the cassette, fast forward, hit play again.
Yeah, but I had been drinking, so that's adds to my flavor, whatever. But just get a bunch of those and then be like, you can buy, or they don't have to buy it. Just be like, send me an email and you can get these uncensored clips of stuff that we said.
Yeah,
if we ever do a Patreon, that's where it's at.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
the ungrawlixed cuts could be some kind of a Patreon thing.
The ungrawlixed Grawlix.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to adult content. It's just, we have. I don't want to Stephen Moffat this thing and set up certain rules and then
break your own rules.
And then break our own rules.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make it more work for you.
Oh no, that's fine. No, it's okay. I just first off, I had to get your guys' opinion on where the whole spunk thing fell.
Right. Well, you need to stop using that word because this is like the second or third time we've had this whole thing where you're using it one way and then I start using it the other.
I use it the innocent way and then you take it filthy.
You know I have a dirty mind.
It's the unspunkin' rule.
Yep. Oh, see, and then Jesse takes it to the pun land.
I'll take it somewhere else entirely.
Yep. So Michonne, Glenn, and Rick they're driving out to this helicopter site. Glenn is an idiot at this point because, this road's not going to get us there. Well, should we stop and walk? And he's like, no, I'll just, go off road, which is fine. But the dude is hauling off road in this, and in
a lowrider.
It was it's a 70s or 80s. If it's 80s, it's early 80s. But yeah, it's like a boat basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an Impala.
Yeah.
Or an old school Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
To where they're bouncing around in there, and dude, slow down. But then the other issue is then he slows down and gets stuck.
Mm-hmm.
But just not good driving, not good off-road driving there.
Yeah.
So then they have to walk. They walk to it, the helicopter, and they see a bunch of footprints, and no people, which they assume means that somebody else was there and found them, and must be closer because they got there before them. And then they decide to track those people down. They shouldn't have done it.
Nope.
I understand the curiosity about the helicopter, and this is easy to say after the fact of what is about to happen to them. But man, they should have just left it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I were there at that point, I'd been like, yeah, leave it.
Yeah. I'd be like, let's search the wreckage, see if we can salvage anything, and then go home.
Well, it's we're doing fine here. We're about to expand. We're in The Walking Dead. Let's not push our luck.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Things are looking up?
Things are looking good for us right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can be happy. No, you should never be happy.
No.
But I bet if the car hadn't have been stuck, they probably would have just gone home.
You think?
I do.
I guess they were looking at having to walk home anyway. They were trying to find that place before it gets dark because they'd rather, if there are people there, stay there. Yeah, okay, I see that. And they find, what is the town? Woodbury?
Mm-hmm. And the governor from the show is not the governor from the book at all.
No, not at all. Yeah. This is
I
where
kind of want to see Danny Trejo play the governor.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was when I was like, this is not the governor. The governor is not him. They're like completely different people. I don't understand how they could make this guy the governor.
He kind of whitewashed him. So Danny Trejo is the governor. A younger Danny Trejo. I mean, not that this guy looks young, but he doesn't look. I mean, he looks like Danny Trejo, just not quite as haggard.
Yeah, he's not as gnarly.
Yeah.
Also not as beefy.
Yeah. No, he's a thinner guy for sure. A smaller guy. And like there's no beating around the bush. Like they're not even introduced to the community at all. It goes straight to there's a fight tonight. We have people fight around in this ring where we have biters around. They have zombies chained up around, like in the series, but they get right to that. And other than Carol's line about wanting Lori and Rick to marry her, my other favorite line from this trade was, Rick's like, "You feed them. What do you feed them?" And the governor's like, "Well, strangers."
Yeah.
Stranger, we feed them strangers. And I was like, that is great.
Yeah. And he had been calling him stranger the whole time already, too.
Mic drop.
Yeah,
governor.
Exactly.
I think it was an issue break. I think
Was it issue? It felt so much like an issue break. I wasn't sure if it was, but I was like, that's gotta be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's hard to tell because the book isn't set up like that. But, it's like a full page, really big bubble, kind of thing. It seems like that's where they would end an issue.
It made me want to keep reading, obviously, but at the same time made me want to stop because it really was a mic drop moment. Like, too
It's
good.
Like, yep.
Throw the book across the room. This is
I'll leave it at that for
too
a while.
good.
Mm-hmm. And then once you get back into it, you kind of wish you had.
You regret it. You're like, should have left it at that.
Tiny Rick.
So he's not even going to feed them to the zombies though at that point because he wants to know where they came from because he's also a real interesting thing. Like he has a real interesting conflict with Michonne right off the bat, and you assume it's because she's a woman. Where when they first get there and everything's still chummy, and they've taken their weapons at this point. Mm-hmm. Okay, Bonsai, I need you to not... I
think it's his butt static or something.
Well, I just need him to not be here on the table.
Oh, I hear butt static. I heard static in my...
I heard it too, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, get down, Bonsai.
I heard the butt static.
Well, keep your butt static away from this. Spider cat, whatever we call it.
Spider buggy?
Spider buggy.
Your spider buggy.
Keep your spider buggy butt static away from here. It's hard to say.
Oh, boy.
But the governor asks... butt static. The governor asked Rick, where they've been staying or where they come from. And Michonne starts talking, and he nasty right away to her. Like, I asked him. I didn't ask you anything, sister, blah, blah, blah. And he calls her sister many times. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he just has no, like...
I believe he does not care for African American women.
That could be. I mean, I guess sister would kind of has that, what's the word? 2016 Icon word.
Racial overtone?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So right away you're like, oh, this is not good. Mm-hmm. But he's not buying their story that they were just out walking. Like they've just been walking.
Yeah.
They don't have a central base. He knows they're from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And basically he just wants whatever they have.
Right.
And he doesn't plan to feed them to the zombies, at least at this point, because...
Or at least not all at once.
Yeah. He's going to find out where they're from. How to get
like who's the... Didn't he say something to the effect of who's the most useful to me?
Yeah.
Like he was going to determine that first.
Mm-hmm.
And so, threats, our trio of people are not going to have it. Things get kind of violent. And spoilers, and this is amazing because I did not know this.
Because I'm amazing and I kept a secret.
You did very well. You do well through all this. I'm always just like, as soon as it looks like you're about to give a spoiler, I jump on your face.
This one was the hardest.
I bet, because the show hasn't done it, definitely has not touched this at all. Mm-hmm. The governor chops Rick's hand off with a machete.
Right.
Or I think it was machete, but he cuts Rick's hand off. I was like, what?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I thought it was because he got infected. I didn't realize that this is how he lost his hand.
I didn't know he lost his hand. Like I was.
Yep.
At all. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And so that pretty much puts Rick out of commission, but he wants Rick to survive. He takes him to his doctor guy who does not like the governor, but, it's a situation. That's not too unlike how the series played the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Except the doctor was a lot less, like, I don't know what the word is, less confident. Like, he was just like, whatever you want.
Yeah.
He seemed more mousy in the series, whereas in this he was just like, oh, I hate that guy.
Oh yeah, he's mouthy, and he didn't really make it a secret that he did not approve of the governor.
Yeah, I think in this he realizes that the governor is the kind of guy that is, although a doctor is useful, he could still be expendable for sure. And this governor's way more that way than the other governor anyway. But also, I can't remember because I skimmed. I didn't entirely reread. Is he all experimenty in this one like he was in the show?
So far, no. The doctor?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't think he was.
Not that we've seen.
No.
But, he knows Rick's kind of, or at least seems that Rick's kind of the leader guy. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't want any harm to come to him. Necessarily, any more harm. He doesn't want him to die anyway. Yeah. He thinks he can get information out of him. Yeah, Glenn pretty much just cries like a baby, so they lock him up. Mm-hmm. And
he was York in this.
Michonne,
they're similar kind of guys.
And Michonne bites the governor's ear off during all this, and she gets the worst of it.
Oh, hell's yeah, she does. Poor lady.
Yeah. And we don't really have to go too much into it, but it's brutal and rapey.
Yeah.
And I did want to read on just because I want to know where that's going. Mm-hmm. There's a good twist at the end of this one. Walking Dead isn't, it can be a little twisty, but it's not like they don't do a lot of misdirection. Mm-hmm. So the governor kind of gets a clue that, well, one of this henchman guy kind of is like, well, there's no police markings on this SWAT team. Could be prison SWAT outfits or whatever, riot gear.
Yeah.
So they kind of use that bit of information, and spoiler on this, but to misguide Rick into thinking that Glenn's give them information on the fact that they're from a prison. Mm-hmm. And Rick's reaction to that, he doesn't say anything, but his visual reaction to that tells the governor that he's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then the book misleads us into thinking that they've let Glenn go so that they can follow Glenn, because Glenn gave them all this information. And it turns out it wasn't Glenn. Because, the guy.
Yeah, they show the riot suit and he's running back to the prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then when he gets back, it's not Glenn, it's Tyrese.
Yeah.
And
because Tyrese apparently, he'd been kind of talking about, we need to go back, we need to go out there and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And if I believe that's pretty much where they leave it. Mm-hmm. So Glenn's still locked up and all that. They're still in this situation. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. I was like, oh, because I just don't take, it's a simple bit of, misdirection and a little bit is all, but I kind of appreciated it as an extra twist because you're like, oh, wow, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, Glenn's not there. So it means the governor's people aren't going to get there right away, but they still have.
Yeah, they haven't really said what's actually going on. If Glenn is released or not, we don't know, but he hasn't gotten back yet.
Yeah.
Because the idea was that he let him go, and we're just going to follow him back.
Yeah, I don't think that he actually did let him go, though.
He didn't. I believe he says something at the end that now they can take that and go question the little crybaby guy.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Walking Dead in general is pretty good about it, but particularly with how they handled the Michonne torture stuff, they do well at, like, there's the scene where, and they do it several times in this trade specifically with the repeated panels, or like the same type of panel, you know, and little subtle kind of cinematic feel.
Yeah.
But they do a good job at, like, people's reactions, giving you an idea of like how hardcore this thing is. I don't know. It's just the idea of showing people's reactions, giving you a better idea of actually just showing what's happening. That's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they'll cut away and Glenn is listening to what's happening, or somebody.
Yeah, that was. I mean, the whole thing was bad, but that was kind of the roughest.
Yeah.
Because you put yourself in his place, and that would be so.
Yeah.
For me, for anyone, I would imagine, but for me, I know that would be worse than it happening. It would be someone I know and I care about having to hear it and not be able to do anything about it.
So yeah, I like this. I mean, I want to keep reading. And Walking Dead's not pleasant in general.
Yeah.
But it's definitely gotten very unpleasant because really bad things are happening.
And now that we got here, I remember when we were watching Governor stuff, I'm like, or maybe it might have been the second time the Governor came around in the show. I was like, geez, when are they going to be done with the Governor? It was it was like not nearly as long, you know, and this is ridiculous. Why is he still even around? And then this makes sense to me though, because they cut a lot of their whole interaction with him is already gone from the very beginning in here. So it makes more sense to me that it was so much shorter.
The little girl thing, his daughter is the same. He's got a daughter chained up, a zombie daughter.
And the heads in tanks, that's all.
That's the same, except he's got a lot more heads. And I liked his line about, 72 channels and nothing's on.
Yeah.
And, you know, across the panel he's got all the, like, tanks with the zombie heads in it. There were a couple interesting pages where it was just zombies eating, like when they were feeding zombies, it was just zombies eating body parts. And it was just this whole 2 pages of just that. There was no, like, recognizable characters or dialogue. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. It's just, they don't usually do that, but it feels very much like a zombie movie thing to do, where you've got sequences of just like close-ups of zombies eating. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Woodbury didn't feel, like Woodbury was totally different than the show, where like Woodbury feels like a very safe place, and this did not. This felt like, first of all, it felt like, okay, well, we've got a few areas fenced off. That's our security. And then, you know, like in the show, it was like, well, we're gonna have a town picnic or whatever. You know, like it seemed very secure, and he's the governor, and everything's all right, and we all trust you.
And wasn't it in the show kind of like what they did with Terminus in the show, where it's pretty much, so Terminus felt like there's a little bit more space, but it's pretty much like a small town that they pretty much fenced off the whole town. And this is just a 4-block section of the town. So there's still a lot of non-inhabited parts all around.
Right.
And yeah, that just by nature doesn't feel as safe, because the rest of the town could still be full of zombies out there.
And they're keeping some.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah. Comic book Governor is very interesting.
And I assume you caught it, but you didn't mention it. When he goes and sees his daughter, and she doesn't want the food she has, so he gives her a fresh hand.
Yeah, I did catch it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that was the one he busted up when he beat up Tyrese, so it was useless anyway.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that. I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the hardest thing, because, you know, we talk about the differences in the show and stuff. I'm like, and even especially sitting here watching the show, and he, like, stuff happens, he does stuff, and I'm like, or talks about doing stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you can't, because you're freaking one-handed.
Yeah, it's interesting that there's a lot of stuff. There's extra attention in both the comics and the show paid attention to his hands before this even happens. He gets in that fight and busts up his hands in the comic. And in the show, this last season specifically, I don't think it ever turned out to be anything, but he had cut his one hand and he kept grabbing at his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost seemed like they were going to go with, gets infected or something, but it didn't seem to go anywhere. But it was still there, this attention to this hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's like they plan to go somewhere, or if that's just like they throw in these little things to mess with the comic book readers.
Yeah.
Just like,
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't even have that thing.
You're like, oh, it's Phantom Pain.
They do a lot of nice little name drops and things to just, like the Negan drop at the end of this mid-season break.
Are they going to bring him in?
Mm-hmm.
Negan?
Or at the end, even after the credits, they were like, you belong to Negan now. Everything that you have, that truck, everything, even if it's in the glove compartment, that's Negan's.
All right. They got, well, I guess not really. Never mind. Negan's not that far back in my current
Oh, really?
stuff. It goes on for a while, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. You are. I think you are pretty much current. You might be an issue or so behind.
I was current like a week ago.
Oh, well, yeah, then you're current.
Did you see
when I
the
read
news?
it, or maybe 2 weeks ago?
I don't know what issue they're on, but they brought Tony Moore back, the original artist, to do a cover.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And it's basically the issue 1, only it's more decrepit and it's new Rick, and
Oh, nice.
basically they aged up the issue 1 cover that he did.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fun. That's awesome.
He should get a chainsaw hand.
He should.
Yeah. I think there was an article on that too, like The Walking Dead versus Evil Dead, or Ash versus the Evil Dead,
Mhm.
and like Bruce Campbell like laid it out, like here's what a Deadite can do, and here's what a zombie can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar, but Deadites have way.
They'll try
weird-
to possess you. They can talk to you. They can.
They can pretend to be normal for a minute.
They can float
Pull at
around a
your
little
heartstrings.
bit. Yeah,
Float around.
yeah. They'll do the thing where they like zoom across the floor.
Like the nun walk. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why it makes me think of nuns. Maybe the first time I ever saw it was a nun or something, but
And they antagonize the crap out of you.
yeah.
And that's just annoying.
Yeah. Just like not off topic. Ceiling crawlers always think of Exorcist 3.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I always think of Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, where she's like pinned to the wall.
Oh, sure,
Even though
yeah.
she's not technically crawling, but
Well, yeah, to me and the same with Poltergeist. Those are more, someone's being attacked and this is happening. The other is, this is a creepy person crawling on the ceiling. So they feel different to me.
yeah.
And
You're right.
they are.
Spider buggy.
Yeah, that old lady's a spider buggy, a demonic spider buggy.
Spider Buggy takes a really dark turn.
And if you were an old lady, wouldn't you hail Satan if you went from being in a wheelchair to crawling on the ceiling? Come on.
I don't know.
This is kind of a leap for me.
I mean, I'm not gonna hail Satan if I could,
Spider buggy across the ceiling.
Yeah, no, that's not.
I don't know if they called it spider buggy. I might think about it.
If they called it spider buggy.
If they called it Spider Buggy.
It's like you crawl on the ceiling,
Whatever
ceiling.
a Spider Buggy can.
Oh wait, spider buggy style? All right.
Oh yeah, I'm in.
But you got butt static.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, his butt was hovering above it, and it made static. That's
Probably. Well, yeah, he's got very staticky fur.
yeah, he does. I always feel bad when I'm like cold and I'm all wrapped up, and then he comes over and I go to pet him, and there's like a giant shock, and I'm like,
Yeah, and he's probably like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
to me?"
he usually runs away, but
It's not me. It's science. Science did that to you. Ash versus the Evil Dead. I think we're one episode behind on that, but it's interesting.
mm-hmm.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Is that on Showtime? What's that on?
That's on Starz,
Oh,
which is weird.
see that? Yeah, I haven't watched any of it, and I would like to, but it's not a thing that is super easy to find.
Starz is kind of one of those weird stations.
Yeah.
And this is obviously them trying to, because they've had pretty good original programming. I think we fell off before they came back for another season, but we watched was it Spartacus? Not Spartacus. Yeah.
Was that them?
Yeah, that was Starz.
Oh, did they? I didn't think they ever came back with it because the guy had cancer.
Yeah, well, they had to recast.
Oh.
But they had the first season and then they did like a prequel season. Or a prequel half season.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't want to watch it because I was like, these guys are dead. I can't watch this.
Yeah, it followed
they're
characters who died in the first season. But they were interesting characters.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, I was just going to say, hey, both have Lucy Lawless in it.
And then I guess that did come back for at least another season after they recast.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Because that guy was pretty good. And
yeah.
But
and recasting always sucks, but especially the main character.
Well, and especially because the original actor died.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Oh, I didn't know he died. I just thought he was like...
Oh, maybe... Well, now I'm second guessing it, but I would assume so.
Oh, well, that's even worse. I just thought...
If he got better and they recast it, if they come back later and recast and he got better, that kind of extra sucks.
No.
So the first time that the new guy said, "I am Spartacus," that was really awkward, I bet.
It would be weird to be that guy stepping into that role.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Nobody take that as news. Well, this is actually several years old, but I could be wrong about that fact. Don't take it as fact. But I think that's how it went.
Maybe we should consult the stars.
Starz.
But yeah, that was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good series.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was almost HBO quality.
Oh, I thought it was HBO.
Yeah, no, it was Starz.
It was lots of naked stuff.
Lots of naked stuff.
Starz has been kind of trying to dip into the HBO market, it seems like, with like, no, that was Showtime. I was thinking that Starz was trying to do their own UFC kind of thing, but I think that was maybe Showtime.
Well, Showtime has, or had at least, Shameless. Other than that, I didn't think
they had Dexter, and that was super popular.
Oh no, yeah, I remember.
I enjoyed Dexter for a while. Oh, I just fell off.
Yeah, me too.
But from what I understand, it didn't end the best, so that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. But it was one of those things that it was really good while I was watching it, but I felt it going the way of Weeds, kind of.
Yeah, Weeds was also Showtime.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, well that was good until it stopped being Weeds and turned into slutty, drug kingpin stupidness. I don't know.
Well, part of the appeal of Weeds was that it was suburban. Well, she was widow, but suburban housewife turned weed dealer to make ends meet, and that's just a fun concept. And it was serious at times, but also kind of like it was kind of
like a less intense Breaking Bad.
Yeah, basically. It had Kevin Nealon, and he's usually fun. So yeah, definitely a less intense, more lighthearted Breaking Bad style thing.
Yeah.
And then they left the suburban setting.
Mm-hmm.
They burned the entire town down.
Yeah, I remember.
Wow.
When I remember, it had already been going.
So
that
not
way.
much less intense.
Well, and that's the thing, though. It became like it just kind of it got too big.
They tried to make it Breaking Bad,
and then, and to be fair, it was quite a ways before Breaking Bad, I think.
Yeah.
But
And
they still tried to, they try to keep it comedic, but like I just lost interest. And
hey, we just burnt down the town. That's funny.
They were doing things with certain characters that I was like, no, that just doesn't work.
And it didn't matter because you could always tell what was going to happen. She's going to get in trouble, so she's going to go sleep with this guy, and he's going to help her out of it. And then she's going to get in trouble with that guy, so she's going to go sleep with this guy, and he's going to help her get it out of it.
That's what makes Arrow funny.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to take it back into more Grawlixy territory. So we were trying to catch up on Arrow. We finished last season because I knew there was the big there were the big crossovers coming, and that was going to spin off Legends of Tomorrow.
Were good. I don't know if we talked about that, but those were pretty good.
Were they? Well, see, we stopped watching Flash so we could catch up on Arrow, and then we were going to catch up on all of it. And we got into the current season of Arrow, And I think Melanie could actually still keep going, and maybe I'll pick it back up. But I kind of got to the point where I was like, this show is I just can't do it anymore.
Yes, you can. Baby, they resurrected.
You have to get through it.
They resurrected Butthole Face, and I will still watch it.
I just couldn't. Oh God, the writing's never been great.
Oh,
it's rarely has it even been that good. In terms of characters.
You're still in season 3, right?
No, we got several.
They just resurrected Butthole Face.
Yeah, that's this current season.
You got to narrow that down.
She has a giant butthole on her chin.
No, it's
her face. Okay.
The first canary in the series.
Yeah. Okay, so you're almost caught up then.
Yeah. I don't like her, obviously.
It's just the characters are so bad, and I understand why they're still doing the flashbacks to
I don't.
Okay, I don't. The flashbacks to Oliver's time on the island, which apparently was not that much time on the island, but he's back on the island. At this point, like this far into the series,
they're just
so
really,
unnecessary.
Those flashbacks are pointless, and they're not even that interesting anymore.
No, and they don't even for a while. I mean, after they started to seem pointless, at least they were kind of thematically tying it into what was currently happening.
Yeah.
It didn't even seem like they're doing that anymore. I was just like,
Did
stop.
you guys haven't gotten to the Constantine episode yet, though?
No. God, Constantine. We'll start watching it again, but man, I don't remember what it was. It was a bunch of stuff. It was just characters being idiots, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm done with the show. Forget it.
Yeah.
I'll go back to it.
Yeah.
That's what makes it funny.
It's because, they have these stupid things that shouldn't even be problems. And then as soon as they resolve them, okay, Diggle and Arrow are friends again. Yay!
Oh, yeah.
But then now we have to deal with, besides Butthole Face,
That's so terrible.
We have to deal with freaking, this drama with,
The police captain?
Oh, that too, yeah.
The captain and Laurel.
Oh my God.
Laurel and what's her butt?
Oh my God. Is that the episode that you guys just watched? The one where it's like, it mirrors itself, like Arrow shows up and he's like, well, this is a thing and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, and then he shows up later and it's like the opposite, but it's the same scene, only mirrored.
Oh, I don't know. That doesn't
Oh
sound
my
familiar.
God. When you get there, that was almost comedic because it's like, oh my God.
I think the one we just watched, and this might have been the Arrow and Diggle, the Arrow and Diggle kind of finally made up because
Diggle's brother,
because Arrow took a bullet for Diggle.
Except it wasn't a bullet; it was a card.
Oh yeah, he took a card.
Oh, that's right.
Conveniently, earlier in that episode, they were talking about what do I have to do? Take a bullet, blah blah blah, or whatever. Or I don't feel like you take a bullet for me, or
and the commissioner or captain or whatever the heck he is started drinking again, and there was this stupid Laurel dad don't drink moment that was like, I'm like, this is like the cheesiest stuff you see in every single show all the time, and that's all they have. It's like the same crap you see everywhere. Always.
There's always been some eye roll moments, and there's always at least one character in the show that I hate, that I yell at, and I'm like, just get out. Why are you even here? It used to be Laurel for a long time. Why are you even in this show? Just, I don't care. Get out of this show.
Why don't they kill you and then they resurrect her? Gosh.
Just get out of here. Why are you here? We don't care about your drug problem. We don't care about none of this. You are not interesting.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where...
And you're not even the love interest anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And it got
Once
to the
she
point
lost
where
weight.
I felt that way about every character. I was like, Felicity, I like Felicity. At least she was kind of getting better. But like last season, it got to the point where it's like, Felicity's not even fun anymore.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Now that she's the love angle, it's like, and she was, but she was the unrequited love angle, which made it funny and tragic.
Yeah. And I like Diggle. Even though they didn't really give him much to do most of the time, but it got to the point where I was like, Diggle, get over it. Your wife has gotten over it.
No
You
kidding.
can get over it.
Yeah.
Like, big picture. You know what he was doing. Yeah, it's crappy. Get over it.
They're like taking an Uzi to a dead horse.
Thea.
The show as a whole is not improving much, but it's like episodes that are good. Like,
I'll keep going.
The Constantine episode is pretty great. I mean, that's really fun. And then the crossover episodes are brilliantly put together.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, I'll catch up.
I another thing that with their current, I hate what they're doing with Thea because I actually like Thea. She's like one of the few characters that I'm like, I like Thea. She's a good character, and I like the actress that plays her. She seems to do it well. But lately, she's been being stupid.
There's no finesse to the writing in how they handle character arcs or characters. Like Thea is a good example where it's like she's, whatever, she's Thea. They've not been doing well for her for a long time because she's all consistently in the dark getting lied to.
Mm-hmm.
Until she's not, in which case she becomes resurrected, and then it's not like she kind of has a problem or this thing's caused this problem.
We need a baseline killing in order to sate your bloodlust.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's a mess.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up. I think we
just push through. We just got to.
We were trying to catch up, so we were watching like one episode almost every night, and I was just like,
say that you could just skip, but you can't because it's all building pretty well. I mean, like the crossover episode is really fun, and some of that stuff won't make sense unless you get caught up.
We will. I'll do it.
We'll do it, and then we'll go watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I don't think. I don't think I'm going to catch up on that one.
I'm really sad because it had promise.
Well, you keep watching it. People say it got decent.
We're still watching it. It yo-yos between being awesome and not so awesome. Where you at would make a big difference.
We're way far back.
Yeah.
It's going to be peaks and valleys, just like Arrow.
Some of the Marvel stuff in general, like we've never watched Agent Carter. And I've heard good things about it.
I like Agent Carter. I actually like her better than
her?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, it's Peggy Carter.
Yeah, it was
I'm confusing it with like a movie, John Carter or something like that.
No.
Oh yeah, not.
It was Captain America's
is John Carter
female like friend, I guess.
Yeah.
And
John Carter's like a pulp comic from the whatever 50s or 60s.
From the Awesome era?
And then there was a Disney movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a pulp hero.
All right. I'd probably like that.
We just finally watched. I need to not hit the table. That makes a big Microphone.
Words, baby. Aren't you supposed to start wording?
I am so tired.
It makes a 10.5. It makes a...
We've been going for a while, so we finally got around to watching Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And it was pretty fun.
It was.
You mean Iron Man? Tiny Rick. It's Tiny Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely see the complaint there.
No, I don't. Because I like Robert Downey Jr. and he's cool in a certain way. But Paul Rudd is awesome in a completely different way. So they are not the same.
Well, I was slightly bothered by the comic relief, his friends.
Yeah.
They were okay, but it felt...
racist?
Kinda.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the goofy kind of dumb minorities to be comic relief. No, it's not racist. There's a white guy. But he can't just be a white guy. He's got to be Russian.
Yeah.
And
then the best part about it, which is sad because it only works because of the racist stereotype, was him being like, I was at this wine tasting and then I was looking at this art. You know how I like whatever. You know?
Yeah, that kind of made it more racist.
Yeah.
Because that's the joke, is that why would this guy be wine tasting? Why would this guy... I mean, it's not just because of his race. It's also like he's a criminal and, kind of a thug.
No, it's not his race. It's the way he's portraying his race with the, there are lots of Hispanics that don't speak ghetto talk. They speak Hispanic languages. Mexican. See, now I'm being racist. Spanish and Portuguese and whatever
they speak Mexican.
Heck. that
Oh, the hate mail we will get
Melanie.
from ants.
Let's see. Women.
we'll cut the Mexican out then.
Oh, now we're whitewashing the episode?
That's
That
it.
is just too spunky.
Yep.
Okay. No, but I kind of did feel that way. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
I
I think we might have even mentioned it during. We're like, wow, they're like Transformer robots or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I had not.
Obadiah Stane is Ironmonger, and this guy that's not a thing is a character that's not a thing. So rather than come up with an actual Ant-Man villain, we have the Ironmonger of the Ant-Man world.
Yeah. Where it's basically the complaint with the Iron
plot
Man
is the
complaint
same.
with the plot is it's again, here's a guy with
I'm
a
gonna
suit.
take over your
Here's a
company.
guy with a better suit or a bigger suit.
Yeah.
Same powers,
Mhm.
better suit.
We're going to take over your company. We're going to steal your technology.
Yeah.
We're going to be better.
We're gonna
But we're
sell
gonna
it to
do
these
it
guys who are gonna use it as for weapons.
evil.
Mhm.
Now I knew this was gonna be an issue, and going into it, it's not as bad, but it was still apparent knowing that Edgar Wright, and his name's still all over it for story, and knowing that Edgar Wright was involved and was gonna direct it, and then some of the super cool things they did, including that crazy trip out, smaller than molecules going into. I was like, and that stuff was still cool, and the cool action sequences were the train action sequence and all that.
The Thomas the Train is what made me love that movie. The reason that movie, anything else that it did, I can forgive because of Thomas the Train.
All the blatant racism. You throw Thomas the Train. No, I'm kidding.
He threw a tank out the window. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but come on, giant Thomas the Train
The
with the
tank
eyeballs
engine,
moving.
yeah.
Oh my!
And that stuff was cool, and I just think it would have looked much cooler and felt more like ooh, awesome and epic if Edgar Wright had still had control of it and had been directing it, because he's a fantastic director, and you could see the influence there. Like the ideas are cool. It's kind of weird. It's a little trippy. Even putting having that big fight, kind of the last big fight between the two, the villain and the good guy, in this little girl's bedroom when they're in these crazy suits. That is a great image, but it's just they never, I don't know, it just wasn't as dynamic as I think it could have been.
Yeah.
It was still fun though.
Yeah, I liked it overall. I just, once you see the plot for what it is, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these, some of the complaints we made before, where it's like, okay, well, now Ant-Man has to set up Civil War, so we've got to show the Avengers complex, and he's got to do a fight scene with Falcon because
do you think
he does.
Now? I mean, they've never really said why Edgar Wright jumped out, but do you think that it's that stuff that might have brought it on, or do you think maybe they were
well, who knows? It may be because that's the kind of thing that Joss Whedon didn't like. So
yeah, but that didn't seem that bad to me. And it was way better than how they shoved it into half the other movies. Yeah,
I mean, I could kind of tell. I was obviously they just kind of threw this whole we need to get this little piece thing, and it's the Avengers, whatever.
I could barely tell you why they had to go to the Avengers now, several months after seeing the movie. I mean, it's probably still fresh for you guys, but it's why'd they go there again? I don't even remember why that was important.
I mean, and this is, again, maybe somebody will hate me. That's the kind of episode it is, but afterward, they're like, he's like, I fought an Avenger, and I'm like, no, he didn't. That guy doesn't count.
You fought you fought a second stringer.
Yeah.
You fought a sidekick.
I don't even know if he was even second, really.
Was Falcon ever in the Avengers? He might not have even been in them.
No, I was trying to think of.
In the movies, he is, but
yeah,
I mean,
just because you associate with the Avengers doesn't make you an Avenger.
He was hanging out. He was doing security at the Avengers compound. That I've never seen before.
So if I go to the Marines and there's a guy that's never been in the military at a guard station outside and I kick his butt, did I beat the Marines?
Maybe.
No.
By this logic,
they shouldn't have him there. That'd be kind of redundant, but
well,
just say,
and okay, it's not fair to the actor that plays Falcon. Was it Falcon, whatever.
Flying guy.
It's disappointing when they get there and like another superhero shows up, and you're like, oh, it's just that guy.
Yeah.
It is disappointing.
It is.
There hasn't been a Falcon movie. There's been an Iron Man movie. There's been a Captain America movie.
I'm trying to. Now I'm really stumped on this. I mean, obviously he's in the Avengers now because he's Captain America now, but I don't know if he's even been in the Avengers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, he's Captain
Maybe.
America now?
In the comics.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's Falcon.
He's been in the Avengers, but I don't know if that was ever before he became.
But the
Cap.
comics do crazy things.
Yeah.
Wait.
You look like your world just got shattered.
No, I'm still confused.
Why?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Don't worry about the comics, man.
Yeah, and
Oh no!
no, part of my issue is DC and Marvel suck, and their people are all the same. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's not Hawkman?
No, he's not Hawkman. That's something else.
No.
Because he's actually like part bird, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Depends on what.
Well, not
Yeah,
like bird, but like his
depends
wings
which
are
version.
his
Yeah.
body, not.
It depends on which version of him, because he's died how many hundred times. But he comes from a like that
Dengar.
power
I remember
comes
that.
from a different planet or something.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, Dengar. I don't know why
Dengar.
certain things stick in my brain.
You remember the planet they come from?
Yeah.
The Hawk people?
Yeah, I don't know why.
But it's DC.
I know who went to search for the Fountain of Youth. I don't know why. Don't know where I learned it, but it will forever be in my brain.
Okay, so he was an Avenger,
Okay.
but this is kind of sad. Reading the Wikipedia page, U.S. government superhero liaison Henry Gyrich, of X-Men fame, then recruits the Falcon as one of the few active African-American superheroes to fill a mandated racial quota for the venerable team, the Avengers. So he was an Avenger, but he was a token Avenger. And it even became part of the storyline. Resentful of being a token, the Falcon quits at the first opportunity.
Yeah.
So he becomes an Avenger, and that probably explains a little bit why he was not an Avenger most of the time. Because most of the time he just helps Cap out on Captain America's book.
Yeah. And he's probably, he's more my speed, than these actual superheroes. Because, Captain's got the shield, but other than that... Oh, yes, maybe some super strength from some serum, but he doesn't really seem super strong to me. He seems like medium strong.
He's strong enough to somehow flip over a motorcycle handlebars and throw the motorcycle. But I guess he was kind of using science incorrectly, but he was using momentum.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Right. And that he would have never been able to do that in his own movies, only in an Avenger movie.
I think the super strength, it's not like super, we're talking about Captain America,
yeah.
right? It's not like Superman level, but I think the first movie, at least initially, portrayed what kind of powers it gave him pretty well. Because the jumping thing was cool in the first movie. Yeah. And then after that, his powers just he can just do whatever. He can just leap around a flying ship and all this.
So, minus the shield, who do you think would win with him and Jessica Jones?
All I know is TV Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And she's tough, but she kind of gets the crap beat out of her a lot in that show.
I think because Cap has a lot of military training.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But if it's just a straight up slug out, then Jessica Jones would probably win.
She's got better jumping than he does.
Because she's almost she's not invulnerable though, is she? She's just super strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, she in the TV
she
show
has super punches, but not super blocks.
Yeah, she bleeds.
And I think he has like some enhanced. He's not like a healing factor, but I think he's got some like healing
Yeah.
enhancement.
But she's a girl. I still think she'd win because he wouldn't want to hit her.
So we finished Jessica Jones.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
I liked it a lot.
Me too.
It was really good.
It was great.
Yeah.
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 The Netflix is rocking it so far. I'm
I
really
was gonna say, I think they're doing better than most of the Marvel TV otherwise.
For sure.
well,
Daredevil and Jessica Jones, win-win.
Mm-hmm.
Agent Carter, I'm curious. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I've lost interest. But Daredevil and Jessica Jones are awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm totally on board. I mean, the tone is going to be different. We're talking ABC shows versus shows that technically can go as far as they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell they rein certain things in,
Yeah.
but
only
not
just
very far. Like, it's still stuff that wouldn't fly on a broadcast
Yeah.
station at all. And the tone of both are pretty dark.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really good.
Mm-hmm. And that end was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's pretty hardcore. They make a Kilgrave pretty hardcore.
They actually make him more, and I was having this conversation with a lot of, I don't even know who it was at this point because I'll talk to anybody that's actually seen this series about this. But they actually made Kilgrave a lot more like, I wouldn't say that you like him, but you almost sympathize with him. Like, oh man, you were like a lab rat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like you kind of like, oh, and you do not sympathize with Kilgrave at all in the comic. Like, he's just a monster. And they do a good job of making him a monster in the show, but like, he's a little bit more likable if he can be likable at all.
Yeah. I mean, I did feel sorry for him for half a second until his parents got there. And then I'm like, it's still their fault because, he might just automatically have had something wrong from like his brain problems. But, usually if a kid is like that, it's because they didn't have the, like,
yeah, they could have been
affections and the things taught, or things taught to him. So he doesn't understand emotions. That's going to be their fault, unless it is just his brain.
Well, no, they kind of make a point because you make a good point because at least in the videos, how it portrays it is, yeah, they're not super warm on it. They're not super affectionate towards him. Mm-hmm. And now they're like, their defense is, well, he was sick. He was going to die anyway, blah, blah, blah. We were just trying to save him, all this and that.
Yeah.
Which is fine and it's unpleasant, but like, it still seems like they could have raised him better, at least up to the point at which he made his mother put an burner face somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know anyone who's, no. I've never really known anybody who's psychotic or no, so a sociopath or anything like that. But,
count your blessings.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But,
no, I don't.
But I've had a friend who had some emotional issues, and part of that was that her family was not affectionate, and it wasn't. They loved her, but I guess they weren't really raised affectionate. Like, she's like, I don't remember my mother ever hugging me ever, and I was friends with her for years, and yeah, they didn't say pleasant things to each other. They didn't, whatever, which is weird to me because I tell my family I love them and hug and kiss them all the time. And I'm like, well, no wonder you have, the problems you have with relationships and things because you never really learned to be that way. And I'm not saying she's not crazy and she's, a fine person or whatever, but yeah, she's always going to have those problems because she didn't learn it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
right.
And I think what they did well with him with Kilgrave is there's just things he doesn't understand. Like he knows he's doing bad things, but he just doesn't really understand why he shouldn't. He's just like, he has no empathy at all.
Well,
Right.
exactly.
And that's what makes him a sociopath.
Yeah.
And
well, maybe not. So, is it which one? One of them like knows,
know.
or at least can fake it.
Whichever.
And
Sociopaths can fake it
But he has no
if
reason
they choose
to fake it.
to.
Yeah. Okay.
The only time and it's not necessarily faking it, but the only time he puts on, being nice really is because he wants Jessica Jones to stick with him, to be with him. But even then he doesn't seem to understand what her problem with him is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that neighbor lady got blowed up.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. What about Nuke? I mean, like, one of the things I really like about this series is they pull in so many weird side characters like Hellcat and Nuke. I was like, oh my God, that's Nuke. He was in there for several episodes before I was like, oh,
is that the
yeah,
cop
he's
guy?
a guy, right?
The cop, I'm assuming.
cop?
Yeah, the cop.
Okay.
Nuke, the red, white, and blue pills. He goes like totally crazy and paints his face with an American flag, and
Oh, nice.
yeah,
And and they pull that character. I just liked how that progressed. Like, he just seemed like another, like, random
he just
victim.
seemed like another character, and
Mhm.
and he was fine as that, and then it was like, oh wait,
And he becomes like a pretty important character in the series.
He becomes almost more of a bad guy than freaking Kilgrave. He at least has something of an excuse. He doesn't. He's just this crazy bad
Well,
meanie.
the drugs are his
It's
excuse.
so hard when I don't have words.
He's
When
a
I can't-
meanie.
when I-
He's a big meat doo-doo head.
When I can't use the appropriate Grawlixes, it's very hard to say
Yeah.
what I want to say. They mean so many words.
that Grawlixen guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a big Grawlix.
hmm
I'd like to slap a Grawlix on him.
Yeah.
I'd like to stick a Grawlix in his Grawlix and it's like Grawlixes all over the place.
Play Grawlix hockey. Oh wait, it's not Christmas anymore, is it?
It's a new year.
It's a new year.
Oh boy.
It's a brand new baby year. That's where the New Year's baby thing comes from.
Huh?
Baby New Year. That's where that thing comes from. It's a brand new year.
It's where people like have contests to see who can shoot their kid out first.
Oh boy.
So for more talk like this, visit grawlixpodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode, hey, think about rating and reviewing us on iTunes and Stitcher, because I don't know, that's like currency other than, actual money for a podcast. And it's free for you to give away. So give us some rates and reviews.
Yes, please.
It helps, and what it does really is it tells iTunes and Stitcher, hey, people like this show. I'm going to recommend this to more people.
So Melanie can get some hate mail.
It helps, yeah. Help spread if you dislike this episode, spread the word, and Melanie will get some hate mail.
That I won't read.
Send it to Melanie offends everyone at
That's not what it is.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either.
If you want to interact with us, send an email, or you know what? Record yourself.
Oh,
Give us some vocal feedback, some verbiage.
that would be awesome.
It's 2016. I want you to word at us.
Yeah.
Send some MP3 words.
Send some MP3 words, and we will play them on the show, so long as,
You keep them Grawlixed and
yeah. Keep it PG.
yeah. We can't make Randy edit more than he already does.
Yeah, that's right.
This is
whoa.
And send it to letters@grawlixpodcast.com, as in letters page. I really kind of regret not setting it up as letters page at grawlixpodcast.com, but I didn't want to make it too long.
I hear you. I don't want to have to type more than I have to.
And I figure you shouldn't. And if you're going to take the time to send us a message, I wanted to make that as easy as possible.
That's the level of care that we have.
Mm-hmm.
We have that level of care.
They do.
We care and we think about you.
They do.
Grawlix cares.
Grawlix cares. Yep.
Nailed it.
In 2016, there will be more Grawlix cares.
Yeah. Maybe one. Maybe one more Grawlix cares.
Maybe another.
We'll at least double it.
This is Randy. Give me some Grawlix, baby.
This is Melanie. Grawlix's leave.
And this is Jesse. This is not some Grawlix tech like the Iron Man suit. We're doomed.
Thank you for listening to the Grawlix Podcast. The Grawlix Podcast is a production of Electronic Media Collective and Vorpal Arrow Studios. This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. To hear more, visit GrawlixPodcast.com, follow us on Facebook at Facebook.com/GrawlixPodcast, and like us on Twitter, Twitter.com/GrawlixPodcast.
Okay, so you're familiar with Evil Dead and Army of Darkness, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
That's like right. Yeah. An interesting thing about the series, and it doesn't really hurt it, but they do not have the legal rights to use anything introduced in Army of Darkness.
Oh.
So they do like they occasionally will do like a flashback, or like Ash will eventually like gives other like side characters backstory. And so they'll use footage, and they use the story from Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, but they can't use any of the Army of Darkness stuff, and that's kind of weird.
Huh,
like, Like, he works in a convenience-type store, or like one of those places, but it's not S-Mart, because S-Mart was introduced in Army of Darkness.
In Army of Darkness,
I have not heard him say boomstick, although he does use a shotgun, but then again, that stuff was introduced in Evil Dead 2, the shotgun and the chainsaw hand.
Yeah.
But yeah,
does he have like a metal hand?
He does get a robotic type hand eventually.
He gets a Nintendo Power Glove. It's not exactly what it is, but it's whatever it looks like.
Basically, yeah. So he doesn't have but he doesn't have it by default. Like, it's not like it's something he had from that adventure or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
So that kind of sucks, because it would have been extra awesome if they could just. But then again,
yeah, just continue it, right?
Yeah, but they do kind of leave it like
ambiguous.
I think they leave.
There's more stuff that happened, but I just can't talk about it, or I haven't.
Well, like when I think it might even be the first episode when he's giving the one like a side character, like his kind of backstory, explaining, here's what happened. At one point, he gets to the Evil Dead 2 stuff, and the character's like, well, how did you get out of that? And he's like, well, it doesn't matter, or it's a long story, or whatever. Like, he kind of shrugs it off, like what happened between Evil Dead 2 and just where he's at now. I think they're holding out hope that eventually they can get the rights back, so they're leaving it kind of open to work with that eventually if they can. Yeah, I was disappointed at first, and I was like, it seems weird that they just wouldn't mention that. And I was like, I bet there's some reason they don't have the rights. And then I listened to like a Comic-Con panel or something, and that's totally what it was.
So will he go back to S-Mart, or he'll probably, if they ever get the rights, they'll probably just explain it, like how he got fired from S-Mart when the Deadites attacked him while he was at work.
But it's good. It bounces between good. It's always fun, but it bounces between good and like ridiculous. But that's kind of appropriate.
Oh yeah. But not like Arrow ridiculous.
Oh no, it's intentionally cheesy.
Tongue in cheek Evil Dead 2 ridiculous.
Some of the episodes are great. Some of the episodes are I'm like, this is what an Evil Dead series should be. Mm-hmm. And then other episodes aren't bad. They're just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. Well, that last one we watched was fantastic.
Yeah.
Seems like some of it is basically like if they mashed up Evil Dead with My Name is Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
I didn't really watch My Name is Bruce.
No, yeah. It was...
Wait, was that the movie?
The movie.
Okay, never mind.
But what's kind of interesting is, I mean, as the series has been going, he feels more like my name is Bruce Campbell attitude. But especially at the beginning of the series, the first several episodes, it's interesting to see him get back into Ash mode, and you're like, oh, like Ash still is. I mean, he's still kind of that Bruce Campbell cocky idiot, but there is like a different character to Ash than just the my name is Bruce stuff.